trying to watch both.
That Tucker Carlson thing got more coverage than the debates.
Oh, dude, he's been blowing up, man. On Twitter or X or whatever, he's been blowing up.
Isn't it great when someone doesn't have to read what they're scripted at a news site? They can actually just come out and do what they want and actually tell you the truth. It's amazing how many people want to hear it.
Yeah, man. It's like, well, what is it? Crowder's done that too. Like, he doesn't have anybody that he's accountable to, or that not accountable to. He doesn't have people like pulling his strings. Like,
Well,
he's not scripted or anything.
the only thing I didn't like is, I mean, when you watch Crowder when he's doing covering the debates, is that he talks over most of everything.
He talks over everyone. Yeah,
but,
he does.
But
do that, yeah.
but as I thought about it, you're watching his show to hear what he thinks.
Yeah, that's what you're tuning in to watch. You're tuning in to get his opinion on stuff.
I remember I shared it and immediately Jay's like, thumbs down. I'm like, oh man, tell me.
Speaking of what we're here to watch, we are live. It's Monday night. It's Late Night Comics.
Monday.
And that's I did another secret stealth cold opening. We're not here to talk about Trump and politics, but that's what we were talking in the back room. And I like giving the listeners a sneak peek.
You know what? Excuse me. We're here to talk about your mother.
I like everyone giving a sneak peek, so you can go cancel us on Twitter.
Do it. I dare you, cowards.
Do it now. Anyways, we're here. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us on another Monday night. I'm sorry that we weren't here last week. I had some obligations I had to attend, and I had a feeling it was going to cut in deep. As it turns out, I didn't even get home until 9:30 my time, which is a half hour after the show would have even started.
Ooh.
And then within an hour and a half after that, my dog passed away. And so even if I had planned on doing the show, I wouldn't have been doing the show. And it was been a really rough week. And I don't want to bring anyone down on that, but I just wanted to kind of get that out in the air. Some people sent me some nice well wishes, and I appreciate everyone that did so. And that's that. So we're back this Monday, and I'm gonna try. I don't want to be thinking about that because it is still a soft thing for me. And we're here to have fun and talk about comics. This is Late Night Comics for those of you that haven't, for whatever reason, listened in before, or if you have listened in the past and you're tuning in. Don't assume it's going to be like the past. We're still changing things and realizing that, taking the good we did in the past and trying to fix the bad and did in the past and go off of people's suggestions and so forth. But this is a show where we just get together late at night and we talk about comics. Now, before we do that, we're like giving people a chance to roll in. So we kind of just do some little bullshit between pals sort of thing. And then we're going to get to the comics. So joining me tonight, introducing my longtime co-host of the show for 42 consecutive episodes, the longest running thing I've done on this show is RDV. Say hello to everyone, and how you doing tonight?
Hello, everyone. I'd just like to announce this is officially my retirement stream. 42 episodes. Dear God.
Wow.
That's nothing compared to what you're doing over the Geeky Show.
I'm just gonna say I'm gonna slowly retire and pass the torch to Zach.
Oh man, I'm gonna wait. It's not even your channel. It's Puppetine's channel. You're just like coming in and you're like, I'm gonna take this over and I'm gonna sell it to someone else.
No. I'm talking about. I'm not about here, dumbass.
Oh, here? Oh, well, yeah.
Because I took over from Bats. So now I'm passing the torch.
I see now. So now I'm the next disposable sidekick.
Well, technically, you took over from Skip.
Drake?
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
I never took over from Skip.
Dang, Ash, man, you hit me twice in the feels in 2 minutes. Shoot.
I know. I'm sorry, but we need to remember Skip fondly.
We do.
Not be afraid
that. I actually thought about him last week. I finally got to sit down and read Do a Power Bomb. Which is one of the last books that he recommended when he got me on my Daniel Warren Johnson kick.
There's a new Dan Waters book coming out this week too, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that Skip would love that. He likes Dan Waters.
Oh,
Yeah,
did
he
he really?
does.
Oh, okay.
So I was just saying
Yeah.
we need to not be afraid to talk about him. I think that's I know it can like we feel sensitive, but I think sometimes people slip away from memories because everyone's like, "Oh, let's be sensitive and not." And it's like, "Well, no, like
True.
let's keep his spirit alive with us because he was a good friend and he taught me a lot about comics and taught me a lot about how to think about comics and relate to people who are fans, even when we have disagreements. And there's just so much good, fond memories that I have of Skip. And yeah, he's
Yeah,
missed. We love you, Skip.
yeah, yeah. Dan Waters is doing the Doomsday Action Comics special.
I saw that where he's like, what Doomsday like is the king of hell now or
I
something.
I was wondering because Skip's not with them, but I was wondering. I'm like, I always play a game. I wonder, do you think Skip would read this, even though it's Doomsday? He doesn't like capes, but it's Dan Waters. It's like I
Maybe
know,
Yeah, he was.
I know
He
he's a
wasn't. He wasn't against capes. He was just
he wasn't
against.
anti-cape. He
He
wasn't
was just
anti-cape.
against like the crappy normative stuff. Like if it was special, he would dig it. Like remember he loved the
yeah,
Hickman stuff. We were going through, which
yeah.
reminds me we got to revisit that sometime. But we were going through the Hickman Marvel stuff. He loved that.
We were.
Because it's
Yes.
Hickman. Anybody else though, he didn't. He capes don't ever. Whenever my
Well,
point
let
was
us not
that
forget. What's his favorite comic of all time?
it was Firepower. No, it's kidding. It was just not the last dollar, wasn't it?
It was the
No,
death of
it was
Captain
just
Marvel.
yeah, that's
Oh,
yeah.
really? Okay. See, I never knew that. I never listened where you said that.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
he did have a soft spot in his heart. I just think that he was very particular. Like
You like Ramby,
90
Batman?
percent.
Yeah.
Yeah, he like Ramby back. Like 90% of the cape stuff, he just didn't like. Not because they were capes, it's just because
No.
of how they
He
were
just
done.
yeah, they weren't compelling to him. He liked more the crime, the mystery, the ones that make you think. What was the other one he was reading? Uh, what is it? Nita Hayes, I think it was. It was like the
And
mind, the one. Oh,
Nita
I almost
Hayes
forgot.
Nightmare Blog or something like that.
Yeah, he was reading that. Like I said, he read all like Ice Cream Man, all that stuff. So there was an Ice Cream Man that's last week, and I was just like, man, I gotta pick it up and try reading some of that because I found out that that books I normally don't read, that sometimes they're good. That was
Mm-hmm.
Murder Falcon. You know,
Murder Falcon.
Oh, Murder
Such
Falcon.
excellence.
Well, now that we're all over the place here, let's
Yeah.
take time to
I,
also welcome that our third man in the trinity of comic. I don't know what you call us, but
Don't-
Zach has joined us on the show. It's been several. I don't know how many episodes it's been, but Zach, it's
handful.
great to have you on here. You started off as just a once in a while you'd make a guest appearance, but I love having you on regularly.
do you
And
remember when he? Yeah, do you remember when
well,
Zach
you
would just
had your
crash?
time. You had your hold on. This is
No,
Zach's
no,
moment in the
it's about.
spotlight.
I'm talking about Zach.
I'm trying to get him to
It's
even say hello. Talk
Why are
about him
you
in a minute.
talking about me? I'm right here. Talk behind my back
Good.
when I'm not here.
I'm not talking.
Uh,
It was actually something nice about you.
Nothing but
Well, I
professionalism.
kind of want to hear this. I kind of got to hear this. If
Yeah,
it's something nice.
back
Hear it
when
in my own 2 ears.
when he would show up, and then Ash would be like, "Oh, what the hell? Why are you crashing the show?" I invite him on, so it's more right. Good positive you having you on. So that's kind of how you wormed your way in here, I guess, according to if you go by Ash's first impression.
I have no
He's
idea
joking,
how
dude.
that's something nice about you, but Zach,
But,
welcome to the
Uh,
show. It's great to have you. Say hello to everyone, and yeah, whatever you have to say.
well, it is
what's
nice.
up?
Go ahead.
Hi everybody. I'm so glad to be here. I almost forgot what it was like to say a full sentence without getting interrupted. No, I'm just kidding.
Your parents
Uh,
are rough on you.
what?
Your parents are
No, no, no. It actually, and
quiet, Zach. The TV's on.
no, I was the one they were telling to be quiet. Um, no, it's been a while. I was actually out of town last week. I went
Say
to go hit
what?
the beach with my family. Had a good time. Worked on my tan. Slept on the beach a whole lot, and I have sand that I'm still finding everywhere. But that's okay. I got to sit back, read some comics. Um, Like I said, I read Do a Powerbomb. Finally got to read that cover to cover. That was a really good. Probably, I don't know if I liked it quite as much as Murder Falcon. It's still a really, really good book, though. I do highly recommend it. Now I'm trying to track down his Wonder Woman book, The Dead Earth or Dead Planet.
So, speaking of, I want to stick on to Powerbomb for a minute.
Mhm.
Bank or RDV, have you read Do a Powerbomb?
Nope.
Oh, well, never mind. We won't put too much time on it.
Yeah, no.
But I'm glad that you finally got to read it. I agree. I read it before Murder Falcon, and I do think Murder Falcon is better, but Murder Falcon is phenomenal. Like
Yeah,
Murder Falcon's
that's
an
a
A
massive.
plus. Do a
Yes,
Powerbomb's like
definitely.
A minus, but they're both fantastic. They both hit you in the feels, right?
They do, and it's crazy because I'm not a wrestling fan. Sorry, guys. I'm just not a huge wrestling fan. It just
Me
never
neither.
appealed to me. And I'm also not like a huge like metal screamer band like 80s punk or 80s big hair. I'm not a huge like into that scene either. But it's crazy that I'm reading Murder Falcon, which is about these heavy metal bands, and then Do a Power Bomb, which is all about wrestling. And the way that they're written is just it's incredible. The feels that it hits you when you're reading them. So yeah, if you haven't read those or anything by Daniel Warren Johnson for that matter, I highly recommend that you do.
Agreed. Now, what do you think? Do you first of all, do you think RDV would like it? And what about it would you say that if yes, what about it do you think you could say to like maybe pique his interest?
What, Do a Power Bomb?
Yeah.
Oh, it's wrestling. It's wrestling. Ah, I don't want to pigeonhole him or put him in that like, oh, it's wrestling. Of course he'll read it. That is a big draw. It is wrestling. There is it's kind of got like it's got a very strong bond or a very strong emphasis on family and family bonding. There's a few twists in it that I honestly did not see coming. Very early on in the story, there's a huge twist that I didn't see coming.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
personally can say that I probably would not like it because I hate if it's just wrestling books.
it's
I hate.
not just it's
It's
not
not
just
just wrestling.
wrestling.
It's
Trying to
No,
phrase
no,
it.
no, no. But what I was trying to say is that like if it's a wrestling book, I I don't care if it was WE or DW. I don't go for this or stories.
It's
What I
not
like,
like
I'm more into like nightclub stuff like that.
it's not regular wrestling. It's like remember that Flash that Jeremy Adams wrote? Like it was like a 2-issue thing about wrestling and
Yeah,
space.
and I hated it.
You mother lover. Well, dog on it. I wouldn't say it copies that, but it does have some similar flavors. Like there's like some different dude. I still think you should read it though. I
like
do think you
like
should read it.
here's an example that like if it was like Daredevil's father
It's
about him boxing and then having to throw the fight his side of the point of view, I would like that. There's sports in it, something like that.
well, let me put it this way.
it's not reality. It's not a reality focused book at all. There are some heavy sci-fi and I would even say like supernatural elements to it that play into it. So it definitely takes it to a whole new
Yeah.
level.
Let me put it this way. Do a Power Bomb is about as much about wrestling as Murder Falcon was about heavy metal music.
There you go. That's a good. Or like the Jurassic League was about the Justice League.
I don't think you
Like
read that though.
I like stuff that had like Criminal. The Volume 3 had sports a little bit thrown in, but it wasn't the main story. I like those,
Yeah.
like kind of like the crime stuff.
Yeah. Do
Well,
a
I
Power
mean, the
Bomb
story.
has wrestling in it, and it's about
Yeah,
characters who are wrestlers, but the story itself transcends it, same way as Murder Falcon transcended to being about being a heavy metal musician, Like it
correct.
goes bigger and it's fantastical and it's got the same heartstring pull, like,
Mhm.
it's a family book. It's about people connecting with family.
Wait, Zach, what's it about?
It's about what?
Come on, Zach, dropping the ball.
What? What?
He
Family?
said it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's all about family.
Okay.
he missed the
Like,
setup.
he's trying to make a
Wow.
Fast and Furious joke.
Hey, it's all right. Zach's only been on for a
You-
couple episodes. He'll get it. He'll get in the
Not,
swing.
Look,
not.
I was out in the sun for a week. For all I know, part of my brain got toasted. I don't know.
But you saw.
I saw the Meg 2 the other day. That one's all about family also. So they're coming for you, Vin Diesel. Jason Statham and his sharks, they're coming for you.
I said
Ay,
I still say I haven't made fun of Zach yet, but I bet that ends right now. Zach, how do you get sunburn when you're wearing a sheet?
Yeah, I heard the
Ooh,
sheet
come on.
I heard the sheet jokes on Saturday. Don't act like you've been refraining from mocking me, you and Breen and all. I hear everything, y'all. No, I'm just kidding.
You're hanging everyone. Oh my! Wow, I didn't realize you care about that much.
I really don't. I truly don't. Actually,
No.
I did not get any sunburn this time. That never happens. I did not get any.
You stay in the shade.
I had sun lotion on. I put some, sunscreen on, and yeah, I spent a good amount of time in the shade, but I wasn't in there like 24/7.
If you're gonna be in the sun, wear a bucket hat. Those things are awesome.
No, I have a straw hat that I bought.
One Piece, please.
I legit bought a straw hat mainly because of One Piece, but it offers some really good shade. Thursday night, baby. Netflix series. I'm ready.
Hopefully it
Speaking
doesn't
of good
suck.
series, real quickly, Ash.
Yeah.
I mentioned to you this before in sports, but I don't know if you saw it. But back on the 24th, our show came out. The third season finally, Ragnarok.
Oh no, I didn't see that post.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'm
what?
gonna have to get into that.
On Netflix. It's called Ragnarok.
Oh, Ragnarok. I thought you said like Fraggle Rock, and I was like, "That's y'all's show. What on earth happened?"
Well,
Hey,
the
don't be
original
dissing.
one,
Don't be dissing Fraggle Rock.
yeah.
I've been seeing Ragnarok on my Netflix though, so okay. Well, congratulations, y'all enjoy.
Ragnarok is a show I did not expect to like. It has a very CW feel in its
It's-
tone and presentation, but yet for some reason it's able to not annoy me. Like it
It's
maybe because it's
it's
not
a
made
big-
in America, like it's Norwegian. And so
it's-
it doesn't have that like made for Zoomers feel.
Mm.
It is the peak of Netflix TV. I'd say.
No. Not that
Yes.
peak. Not that peak.
Original Netflix original shows or shows that are put on there.
Dude. Netflix started off swinging for the fences, man. Like, what was the?
Did you hear? They gave away or they sold like all the DVDs they used to ship out.
Yes.
Remember when Netflix was a DVD distribution site and not a streaming site back in the day?
Yep.
They gave
Well,
away.
it still
or
was
sold-
until just recently, and then they gave all the
Oh, were
people
they?
all the people who are members of the DVD thing, which they just shut down. They gave everyone like
Really?
up to
They just
10
shut
free
it down?
DVDs. Yeah, that's why everyone got the DVDs because they don't need them anymore. They're like,
I
we're
thought-
shutting the
I
service
thought
down,
they-
and you guys all get DVDs.
I thought that they were still. I didn't know that they still offered it. I thought they just kept all the DVDs in storage somewhere, just like taking up space. Wow, I
Nope.
didn't know that.
Nope, that's why
Crazy.
everyone got them. But it's a cool thing they do. They could have just like sent them to a landfill.
Yeah, they could have.
So I don't have the DVD service, so I didn't get any DVDs. But I think it's a
I
cool
did.
thing.
I was paying $7. I actually was saving like about $1.25 compared to what they were charging for new people, which is around like $9 for the DVD option on Netflix. But I've been grandfathered in at that price for like $7.25. It was nice. I was tempted like, do I want to get rid of this? Or I'm like, because I really don't use the DVD service, but I'm like, yeah, but if I find something I want to watch, it's only on DVD and not on the instant streaming. It was nice. Like that was Perfect Strangers. It was only available through the DVD service, not through instant stream. I was like, oh, this is awesome. But I was like,
their DVD library was always way bigger than.
and I never
streaming.
I never got late fees because you pay like your $7 per month extra. So that covered it. So I had a Perfect Strangers like the last season's DVD for about 3 years.
That's funny.
I finally mailed it back. I was like, I should because I heard September they're getting rid of it. The DVD option.
That's what we're just talking about. They just ended it. That's
Yeah,
why everyone's If you would have kept it, they probably would have just been like, whatever, just keep it.
Yeah.
Don't send it back.
But like,
Um,
I'd be so annoying because it's like not even a full. I only have that one disc. I don't have the rest of it. Yeah.
so Ragnarok, real quick, because you brought it up. I'm excited. I'm going to be watching this again. Give it a shot, people. If you heard me say CW show and you cringed, give this possibly a chance. When I say it's like a CW show, I only meant that it has kind of a more youthful approach, but it doesn't have the stupidity of it, of like some of the stuff you see in some of the
It's
CW shows. There's no,
it's
there's a
Norse
little
mythology.
bit of like, like, how do I say, like, there's a little bit of like progressive attitude in the show, but I wouldn't say that it's like a woke show. I'm particular towards Norse mythology, and I think it's a very clever telling of the Norse gods, kind of like coming back to modern day. Um, and it's worth trying out. I was
It was
really
me.
pleasantly surprised. I think
Yeah,
this is the last season. I was like really bummed to hear about that.
yeah, it was the final season. We've been waiting like since COVID for this to hit drop. That's how long it's been.
Yeah, it has been a while. Oh man, I am cautiously optimistic. I'm probably gonna watch the One Piece live
Yes.
show.
One
Uh,
of us. One of us.
Well, I
I'll
said I'm
probably
gonna
watch
watch
up.
it. I'm gonna still reserve being a fan, whether it's good or not. But
I haven't. I've never. I watched the first episode of the anime. I didn't really care for it. I'll watch the live action because usually sometimes the live actions are better than the animes, like Dragon
So
Ball.
the Netflix one, it's obviously it's going to be like super condensed. They're packing the entire first story arc into like 8 1 hour long episodes. But the way they're doing it, I'm pretty confident that they're going to nail it. I'm super excited. So
I'm just
I
hoping
can't
that
wait.
they do good. It doesn't have to be. I'm a kind of person. I don't think it has to be like a one for one adaptation.
No, no, it does
Um,
not. I
because
agree.
especially since you have the anime, like
Hmm.
that's
You have
unchanged.
the anime
If
and you have the manga. Yeah.
like I didn't, I was okay. So I like Cowboy Bebop, and I wasn't really upset that Cowboy Bebop didn't follow the anime correctly. I was more upset that they just kind of told a boring story and put in the woke
Yeah.
politics nonsense and did the goo
Well,
like just like I was like this is dumb. But if you tell the story differently, for example, a show that I'm super hot on, I'm gonna cut this short, but Silo on Apple Plus TV. It's a sci-fi show. It's a dystopian future sci-fi. It's one of the best shows on TV. I was blown away by how good it is. It is like cinematic kind of quality, great acting performances, great story. It was so good when the season was over. It was like kind of left me hanging, and it's based on a book series, um, 3 different books. I was like, I gotta, I can't wait. I can't wait a year or two to see how this goes. So I got the first book, read it, found out that the first season wasn't even the first book. It was only half the first book. So when I got halfway through the book, I'm like, oh my God, I'm at the end of the show. Like, oh, it keeps going. Read that first book, loved the hell out of it, ended up reading the whole series. It's one of the best book series I've read probably ever. I love it that much. But the show's actually it's very sane. Like, it hits all the key kind of marks, but also makes some radical changes, but it doesn't do anything stupid. Like I'm like, okay, I can. Same thing with the boys. That's even better examples. The boys, the comics and the TV
Oh
show,
yeah.
way different, but they both tell good stories. They don't, it's not like the boys comes in and goes, we're just gonna like wokeify this up or do, like they focus on trying to
Right.
do something really good, and even though it's different. Anyways, I'm going
Yeah,
forever.
no,
I don't want to do
I
that.
completely agree. There does not need to be like, because I'm a huge like, okay, spoilers if nobody knows this. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and as much as I love the books, the Peter Jackson movies don't have to be. Some people say, well, they're not a one to one, similarities or whatever. Like they don't need to be. He just needs to follow the basic story and certain character beats and certain events. He needs to make sure he gets them in order. He doesn't have to follow every little thing. Plus, I'm not even convinced that there's a book that you can do like a one to one shot for shot and have it translate to movie or to the screen the same way that the book does. I don't know if that's
They
possible.
did one, and it was called Sin City, and it didn't work out that well.
Yeah, it did not. See, but it didn't work out that well.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sin
but
City was like
anyway.
almost shot for shot the book, and it just and I love the book, and I was like, wait a second, you can't. They're different mediums. You have to adapt. Like adapt is
Yeah,
in.
I
exactly.
don't know. I don't know. I like the Sin City movie.
I did
Eh.
too. I liked it, but compared to the book, like it
I
lost
never read the
something.
book.
It lost something compared to like because just the mediums are different. You have to kind of
Right.
adjust. Well, conversely, 300, Zack Snyder adapted. It had all the big key moments like ripped right out of the book, but he also
Mhm.
realized he was using a different medium, so he made some slight adjustments to how the narrative flows. And it's to my opinion, it's one of the best adaptations ever of a book to screen. But let's move on to actually our books that we're here to talk about.
I just agree. Batman Year One animation was the best adaptation from book to screen.
Okay, well, you'd be wrong. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're here. First book. We got 3 books to talk about tonight. I'm excited
Woo!
because they're all books that I really like. I'm hoping that you guys all like them too. Because talking about
The
bad
first-
books just
Buying 'em.
sucks.
Would not be buying them if I didn't like them.
So our first book for the evening, we're gonna talk about. Uh, I picked the order, so hopefully you guys are kosher with that. Is Void Rivals. Void Rivals is a new book by Robert Kirkman and Lorenzo De Felici, who both worked together on another title that I was a big fan of called Oblivion Song. It's a sci-fi title. Void Rivals, the cat's out of the bag. This is a book that is starting Kirkman's new Energon universe. Kirkman got the rights like a year or 2 ago to the Hasbro line. IDW lost it. And for a while, it was just a bunch of rumors like, oh, Kirkman's going to get the rights. But turns out the rumors were true. He got it. And no one could have predicted this, at least not me, that Kirkman would also kind of make his own series to like run along with it in the same universe. And that's called the Energon universe. And the first issue of this featured a crossover character with the Transformers. And we can probably expect as time goes on, also the G.I. Joe will cross over. There's going to be 4 total books in the Energon universe, according to Kirkman. So that leaves who knows what the 4th is going to be.
I think he's gonna have 2 different GI Joe series. Like one's gonna be about Duke, which is the Joes, and
And
then
then
he's
Cobra.
having the Cobra Commander. So it's
Yeah.
like you have the good guys and then you have the bad guys from GI Joe, and then of course there's Transformers being written by Daniel Warren Johnson
And
as-
G.I. Joe by Larry Hama, the original Marvel continuation.
Yeah, you're right. There's that. So there's well, that's not
No.
going to be in the same universe. That's not the
No,
Energon
no,
universe.
no, but that's the other thing that's going on.
Yeah,
Even though
yeah.
it's the same. It's not the same time line or area, whatever era, but it's still considered the same universe. Just
Yeah.
a different. It's an alternate universe, say, but you know what I mean. It's still. If you were a fan of the original stuff, it's cool, and you get the original writer coming back and continuing his stuff from Marvel at a new place with new editors. They allow it. Maybe it could be bad or it could be worse. Who knows?
So
But I trust.
yes,
I trust Kirkman. You know, and well, you're like when he announced that. I mean, I trusted that Larry Hama's gonna go like super like far left, you know, and just insert politics, all this woke crap into his GI Joe run. I think he'll keep it back to the basics, you know.
So yes, so here's what the clarification I've found on this. So it's going to be this book and Transformers, and then the Cobra and Duke book. But the Cobra and Duke books are either miniseries or one shots. I'm not clear on that, but they are
I
very
believe-
limited.
Yeah, they're not ongoing.
And Kirkman has
No,
said that they will be replaced by an ongoing Joe title and then a
Nice,
4th
okay.
unannounced book. So there will be 4
okay.
books. And what RDV is talking about, of course, also is the Larry Hama series, which Larry Hama will be doing a Real American Hero starting at issue 301. Bravo, Kirkman, for continuing the numbering for the fans. You're going to start off, the first issue will be issue 301 because, as G.I. Joe fans recall, G.I. Joe ended in Marvel on issue 300 was the final issue. So as far as I can tell, the A Real American Hero is going to take place spiritually in the Marvel Universe. Obviously, it technically can't because they don't have the rights, but it is that timeline. So if you read the Marvel G.I. Joe and continuing the story, technically whatever it happened in your own continuity. But that title, as far as I'm able to tell, is separate, removed from the Energon universe. You will not be seeing Void Rivals with that. There will be a second Energon version of G.I. Joe, which I expect will have Robert Kirkman doing his own things and adding his own thing and taking new directions that previously have never been done.
What if the fourth book coming out is going to be like a G.I. Joe versus Transformers?
Could be. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see. There's other stuff that Hasbro has, so
That's true.
who
Has
knows?
there been a Power Rangers Transformers?
I'm sure there had. Dude, when Marvel had the license.
We
Cut
never
you
do
guys
that.
off. I know we don't. I'm trying to. 42 episodes later, I'm trying. So the way we're going to go through this, we're going to go through the book. This will be heavily spoilered if you guys have not read the book. Be prepared to be spoilered. I'd like to say sorry, not sorry.
It's been 2 weeks, right?
It's
yeah, but
been
not
2
everyone,
weeks.
not everyone gets everything day one. I just want them to know.
Do people get stuff on day 14?
Guys, do not spoil the death of Superman for me. I want to know what happens.
He dies.
No, I cannot read it now. I know what happens.
Spoiler: he doesn't actually die. Superman's still around.
See, wow. See, I'm just so torn now. Do I read it or don't read it?
Don't read it. My point is, I don't ever want to spoil it. I don't care if the story's 1,000 years old. Like, if you haven't read it, I don't want to spoil it for you. However, sometimes you have to talk spoilers, and I just want to give people that opportunity so they know. No one's really going to come here avoiding, like, that's what we're doing. It's a spoiler show. So hopefully you guys are reading these books before the show so you can enjoy it along with us. The format we're going to go through is I'm just going to kind of go through kind of scene by scene. I will give this kind of the synopsis, and then I'll give feedback from our boy Zach and RDV if they have any comments about how that played out or anything that they want to point out through the comic, and we'll get through the whole book. So to start off, last we met, these characters had been captured on was it Bebop? Is it Bebop ship? I can't remember which one, Bebop or Rocksteady. I always mix the two up. It's the pig guy's face. I forget his name, but they're captured on a ship. That was a big cliffhanger thing, and now they're trying to escape, and they get into a gunfight, and we learn here that the girl, what's her race? I forget, but she has a special weapon. She's more than meets the eye.
There's a right planet and a left planet, and so.
So, she reveals her special power weapon thing she has, and the guy is like, "Wait, that's not a pilot's weapon. I am no mere pilot." And they manage to knock over Bebop and make their escape. And he has a line. He's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna chase you. Joke's on you anyway. I'm not the most dangerous thing on this ship." And so he goes over to look at the ship that he captured and see what his loot is. And that's sort of the end of this scene. RDV, why don't you start us off? Any comments?
Well, I'm sure his name's not Bebop. Just because every pig creature you've seen in the past doesn't mean they're all the same.
Stop being so oinkus.
Yeah. You're making me crazy here. Overall, I like the. You wouldn't know half of it if you tried. Anyway, so I do like this. The fact that she's a little more like aggressive, because women usually are. Sorry, but when I first introduced these characters, she seemed very hostile. He was kind of taking more of a relaxed and stuff, and you're kind of seeing a bond form between them. he gets shot, and she's like, "Oh crap!" And he's like, "Save yourself." He's basically like calling him, "You stupid ass, get up." So he's calling him out. It's basically like Star-Lord and Gamora. That's what I'm getting the vibes here a lot.
Yes.
And
I was
I'm loving.
I get
Yeah,
that.
I think so. I think
MCU.
that's a
Yeah,
good one. I actually kind of likened his personality to Malcolm on Firefly, but
yeah.
Star-Lord's
Okay.
very similar. So
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty much it pretty much is the MC James Gunn's version. Shocking, right?
right.
Firefly? What James Gunn? So I like the fact that and I know the bad guy is like, I'm not the worst thing on here. I'm thinking like he's on a giant ship. He brought them in, and I'm just thinking like I'm getting like collector vibes. You know, I'm not the worst thing on here. What do you mean you're not the worst thing on here? Because he doesn't have an army. He's just one guy, and he wants their ship. And then they quickly like, oh crap, it's fight or flight. We got to get out of here. And he's just a guy. He's just like, damn kids. The point. So there's a little humor. There's a little humor in there. They kind of really jumped the gun. He's like, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to, yeah. I love that he says,
Zach, what
gotta
about
make
you,
the
man?
kid.
I like how the issue starts off like it just starts like boom right away. Here's action. Here are the characters rushing at our alien oinkster. There's not really like it's not a slow start or anything. It's just like boom, picking up right where the last one left off.
You can literally
Uh,
have him as a human as a fat mobster. The words fit.
When I was reading this, I kind of rolled my eyes slightly just because it's becoming super cliche to have the woman be the ultimate badass and the man have to be the guy who needs to be saved all the time. But this page in particular here, I absolutely loved. It was like Robert Kirkman bringing me back to like Saturday morning cartoons. The dialogue here just felt like this the villainy that you'd see in like Transformers. Like obviously this guy's not a Transformer, but that same sort of like it just sounded like I just could hear it in my head. Um, this was just like the Saturday morning cartoon villain, like all the villains, whether even like the Thundercats, like Mumra might have talked like this, or Skeletor might have talked like this, or like Cobra, like just I was like, man, he's nailing that
Legend,
feel.
yeah. Legend of Zelda. Link, you can run, but you can't hide. No.
I don't know if that's a Saturday morning cartoon, but
Yeah, it's all Super Mario Brothers. Never watched that show?
no, that was before
Yeah,
my
the
time, I guess,
cartoons.
or after my
They
time, I
had,
guess.
oh, you missed the best
My
show ever.
Saturday morning cartoons was like in the 80s, back in the Transformers,
Yeah, this
G.I.
was
Joe
the
era.
80s.
They had a Super Mario cartoon in the 80s?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a live. It started off with a live. It was a live. Live guys. Mario Luigi. They had Inspector Gadget appear on there, and walked in. Yeah, it's the Super Show.
Oh, I never watched it.
And so they hosted cartoons, and the two cartoons were Super Mario Brothers cartoon, and then they had the Legend of Zelda. So
Wow.
you never heard? Oh, you missed the whole thing. The memes like, well, excuse me, princess. It was his
All right,
catchphrase.
we'll have to go revisit that on YouTube later after the show. All right, moving along, just for the sake of time here. We're already over half our allotted time. Sorry, I'm like being the stick in the mud. So our heroes are escaping through the cavernous ship, and we get Handroid kicking in, which I think Handroid's going to be kind of a star uh, kind of character of this series. I think I'm enjoying him. It seems like the letters page people are enjoying it. They're exploring and they're looking around, and she gets all frustrated. She slams the wall, makes a big banging sound, and he comments, careful, we don't want to, advertise over here. And Handroid kicks in and is like, oh, we are being monitored. I detect both visual and audio recordings. So they come to a room where there's all darkness. We see some glowing eyes. That's never good. And of course, another Saturday morning cartoon type, villainous thing like a robot scorpion
Honestly,
comes
yeah, this goes a.
clack
Go ahead.
clack. It comes out and they get in a big fight. And we're immediately into another action scene where it's they're having to fight, and she's of course super badass with her. I don't even know what that thing does. Apparently, it's like Thor's hammer.
Shock.
She can come in at will or call it at will. But so they're fighting, and she's trying to hold it off, and so that he can get to the door and close it. And they manage to do so, and it seals on to them. And there's not really a good stopping point, so I'm just going to keep going. They take a moment of breather, and they go on to the next door, and they're like, "Oh, it's going to be fine this time." And they open up, and they're like, "Wait, on a second thought," and we get introduced to this new character. So I'll stop. I'll
Mars
pause here.
attacks!
Pause here. Zach, why don't you start off this time?
All right, so kind of going off of what you said, how it seems like the girl is like the badass, the warrior one. When I read through it, it's not that didn't jump out to me as much. What I thought was like, okay, she's got her strengths in this area, and him, he's thinking differently. He's trying to go, hit this button or do this thing. It's like a teamwork thing.
Mhm.
So I enjoyed that. Giant
Yeah, this scene was
robot
way better
scorpion.
in that.
Yeah. Well, I believe this is the issue before this. We learned that she was basically sent out. She was the best recruitment because they're running out of water or something like that. I think they sent her out because she's the best of her.
Yeah.
Of her planet.
She's something
Yeah.
special, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. So, where he's just like the son of a chancellor or some kind of like that, government official.
Yeah.
The mess up, and he's kind of like his last, thing to actually prove to be worthy of a son.
Apparently, though, he's
So
a pretty good pilot
Yeah,
because
so
he should have been in big trouble. But I think that they said in the first issue, like his piloting skills kind of like
Mhm.
kept him valuable. They're like,
yeah.
but yeah.
So when the giant scorpion comes out, I immediately go back to that first Transformer movie when they're fighting in the desert.
Oh yeah.
With Megan Fox and stuff, I go back to that right away too. And I love he's just like, oh shit, and he gets thrown, and she has her little collapsible bow staff or whatever stun staff,
Yeah, it really came out of nowhere, right? Like,
yeah, just like those Ks for Zach.
oh,
I'm sorry. But yeah, I have no problem with. I love the humor in this, And if you want to think about it, this has been going on since the introduction of Ryan Reynolds in the early 2000s. Where the guy is a screw up and the woman, he's just kind of frustrated, but he ends up proving that he is worthy. Like Zach said, he's worthy in other things that she doesn't understand. She's a warrior, and he's kind of the brains, kind of like he has ideas out of the box, things. I said he's very much Quill-like, which I love. So I like the fact that he's able to do something. Plus, and then he has that talking freaking hand. It's kind of like he's basically like Booster Gold and Star-Lord put together with Skeets on his hand.
like the Handroid. I get what you guys are saying. This scene, to Zach's point, I think played a lot better because it didn't feel like quite as much that he was like the useless thing. And they do work as a team, and I do like that. I just, for me, like it's just becoming very cliche at this point of like, yeah, Star-Lord and Gamora is fine. But when you have like 20 different stories being told and everyone's just trying to do the same thing of like, oh, look, it's the badass aggressive woman. And that, it's like, okay, I've seen this a million times. Do something new. I'm kind of getting tired of it.
For me personally, I never get tired of it because there hasn't been that many versions of Gamora and Peter like this other than the MCU version. Comics.
Well, if you're saying just Peter and Gamora, but I'm just talking about in general where it's like the competent, overly competent woman and the kind of like lovable doofus man. That's been going on since the 90s.
I would say make your peace because it's never going away.
Well, maybe not in my lifetime, but
or mine either.
But I'm just calling things as I see them. People are going to agree. People are going to disagree with me. That's a-okay. But this was a fun scene. I really did like how this played out. I like this shot here. I could really feel on this top panel the sort of like the velocity like of him sliding across the ground underneath the claw. Like I thought that was really a bravo shot here from the artist to feel that sort of movement. And that's why I'm really looking. Hold on, that's what I'm looking forward in comic book art is to sell me on the story with your art. Like, make me feel. Don't just draw like a picture of what I already read is
Show, don't
happening.
tell.
Yeah, I want to like I'm in a movie. I want to see it happening. I want to be visually impressed. And though Felici's art is not exactly something I would like hang posters on the wall, it's not like the prettiest art. His storytelling ability here, I think, is pretty competent. Like I was really actually impressed. I love this. I mean, I was like, whoa! I could feel him sliding on his knee underneath the claw there. Like in my brain, even though the panel is not moving, my brain is like animating it, in my imagination. So, um,
Oh
yeah,
well, and that's the thing with Kirkman. Kirkman always goes. He chooses those guys. Like where Charlie Adlard when he was doing The Walking Dead. He kind of had stuff of this. He always chooses the guys who can actually do the best sequential art with hardly any dialogue.
yeah,
And so going back to what I was saying before, this kind of feels like a collector's ship.
yeah. It does. It does.
Every door is like, let's try this one. It's like at the point it's like, no more doors. It's like the House of Mystery. Every door you open up could be like to your. It's like the Scooby Doo gang. Remember? They go over and open a door. Like, no, wrong door. It's the monster behind each door.
Yeah, this totally felt like this felt how I remembered the Saturday morning cartoons. If I went back and watched Saturday morning cartoons today, I'm sure I'd be like, whoa, this dialogue and these scripts are like not nearly as good as my like 9-year-old self remembered. But how I'm remembering the feeling like that's how he's capturing it. And I just have to stop and admire it. Like I was having so much fun in this book, and then this guy comes out and he's just so over the top. Like you're like, what the hell is this?
It's like every RPG you play, you're like, can you trust this person? Should we trust this person?
This is such a perfect example of like the over the top villainous things like Mumra and Skeletor that like they came up with in these Saturday morning cartoons. Like this type of thing, I could just like hear this crazy like robotic Slytherin voice in my head as I'm reading.
Yeah.
And of course he's like, I mean you no harm. And so he makes a deal with them. And basically he says, he came here on his own free will, but then got backstabbed by Bebop, who I know that's not his real name, but I forgot his real name. And he's like, I got a ship and we can get out of here. And he's plotting. And so like, oh, great. So they're, they get to it and like, hey, look, there's a ship. You're like, oh, it's all good. And then
it's a drill ship.
Then Bebop shows up and says, okay, that's enough. I think your fun and adventure on my Rockroid has finally come to an end. And then I don't know, Slitheru. What's this guy's name? Like I can't remember. Did they give him a name? I can't remember. So the new guy he's basically saying, you're being betrayed, and he tells him like Slizardo. Thank you, Slizardo. Yeah. That's such a
I know
such a perfect name, Slizardo. He's like Slizardo's like lying to you, and he's like, oh, by the way, you guys, I did some research on you afterwards, and you're not wanted, and all I care about is collecting bounties. And since I'm not going to collect the bounty from you, you're free to go. Oh, and by the way, I'll give you I'll give you his ship or whatever. It's like you can go. And so they're like, they look at each other and they're like yelling at each other, like, this is an outrage. You're actually going to make a deal with him? And they cut to the panel and it's like, yep. They don't even resolve it. They're just like, oh, all in all, not a bad turn of events. He was nice enough to give us some food. And it was just like, oh, it's just, again, it so reminded me of like how things would work out so yep, Star-Lord. Your analogy, I didn't catch it when I was reading it, but now that you pointed out, it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, it is. And I'm thinking like this Rock could be like, oh, he even got food. And it'd be him and Quill. It's like, and Guara's like, idiots.
So
it was died back there.
Before I go on to the next scene, RDV, do you got any other anything additional to add to this?
Yeah, that alien comes out. It's like he's the most terrifying looking creature, and then he's just kind of like like a normal guy. Hey, my name's Frank. Right. It's like, what's your name? My name's Frank. Oh, what the heck? Oh, hey. And I love it. He has no legs. He's obviously some kind of like tentacle creature, octopus with razor-shaped teeth. but also has an alien style helmet head, and he's floating on his. It's just the most like Saturday morning cartoons, kind of like sci-fi character.
He looks
Right.
like a Saturday morning version of the alien from Independence Day with the
Yes,
tentacles that mind controls the scientist guy.
Yeah.
Like, this is that guy. I'm ready for Will Smith to punch him and say, "Welcome to Earth."
get me my name out of your mouth. No,
So
but like, yeah,
Skuxoid, by the way, Skuxoid is the pig guy. So Skuxoid and
okay,
Skuxoid,
Slizardo.
that's his name.
yeah,
Skuxoid. Okay.
yeah, like the whole thing. And then what really threw me off is like you notice like the girl, her helmet when her eyes squint in the action stuff, it's so cartoonish.
Yep.
Like they're normal, yeah, and they change.
Hmm.
Where his just stay the same.
Well,
You know
he
what this
has like a
reminds me of?
metal. He's got like a metal face. It's like an Iron Man helmet.
Well, no,
Hers
no,
is like
no,
a
no.
visor.
How dare you, Zach?
How,
You're reading the new Doom Patrol.
what are you talking about?
That looks like Robot Man's head.
No, it looks more like Iron Man's helmet. It's a helmet.
It is a helmet. But
There's nothing inside Robot Man but his brain.
this dynamic actually reminds me of Wall-E, where when they meet
Yeah.
Eve and
Hmm.
her
Yeah.
her eyes are like that.
It's like the little diodes
Yeah.
on a screen.
She's
Yeah.
got an emoji face.
Yeah, kinda.
Yep. But
Anyway.
it's a good dynamic. I like that their armors look like they come from two different planets. Like it's
Hmm.
they should look stylistically very different. Um so so they got a ship now. So that's a plus. And they're getting away from the Rockoroid, I guess was the name of
I,
the rock asteroid
yeah,
ship. It's so
I, lo-
ludicrous, but it works.
I
Um
love the design of the ship and the stars all around it.
yeah. So now that they're off in space and she removes her helmet and things are kind of calmed down and now things get a little bit more serious. And this is where I kind of felt like the dialogue felt like Malcolm Reynolds you know, just uh I could just hear Nathan Fillion voicing this character in my head. That's when I was reading it. Um, and I could see her expression as he's like trying to make witty banter talk, and she's just like, just um. And so later on, he's running on the treadmill, and she's like, "Yeah, checking to speak." And they're asking, it's like, "We got a plan. We're coming back to their planets, right?" And obviously, they're at war to get their civilizations, and they're like planning how are they going to you know, do make their worlds understand or what have you. This is something I did not expect. I was like thinking they were gonna just be lost in space for a long time, and they were gonna have adventures.
Yeah.
But they're coming back to their planets, and he's got the personality of like, don't worry, it's gonna be fine. Just everything will be cool. Like we don't need a plan. It's just gonna be whatever. And she's like, what? And she's the over
Yeah,
worried type of person, and he's just like, hey, congrats. She's like, what? He's like, we survived. So here they arrive at home, and
they
she's like,
explained why it happened in their first, right? Why they have the giant black hole. It was one planet first, and then that black hole
yeah,
Hmm.
divided.
the sun collapsed or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
It's
but
always the
I
sun.
look. You bring up a Firefly. I'll raise you even going way back to Farscape with John Crichton. He's the Earth guy, and like are all they all he always gets made fun of because like are all Earth humans stupid? Like he's like, oh great, imagine a planet John Crichton's and his personality, and she's never met his world, but like she's probably thinking like, are they all idiots on his planet?
to
It's
be
like,
fair though, I don't think he's necessarily representative of his plan. Like his dad
yeah,
is way different.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
But she's only known him for how many days now?
right. And so they decide like they got to split up because they're not going to be accepted. So they decide to, and she's kind of has this emotional moment. They realize like, oh, we're splitting up, and she's recognizing like if we would not have survived if it had not been for you. You were the one who took the chance to see if we could cooperate. Where up to me, I would have just killed you and wasted away on that rock, and my aggression would have ended us both. Thank you. So she's like recognizing kind of her own flaws, which is a big character moment. And oh, she's a Zertonian. That's right. So I gotta
Yeah.
write these words down. So he's just like, hey, some Zertonian you are, no time for modesty. So I agree. I'm great. Hopefully, I'll see you again, and we can talk about how much we like each other. Good luck down there. And of course, she's like, no, good luck to you. She's all serious. And then she stabs the ground. You'll need more than me. I'm sorry. And that's the end of the comic. So, Zach, you're first this time.
Dang, betrayal, double cross, shocking. It's always the girl.
I think she did it because she realized that he wouldn't let her go.
Don't trust women, folks.
So-
No, I'm just kidding. That's not my takeaway.
He thought he had a chance, and she friend zoned them.
Or is it?
No, I was in the same boat as Ash. I thought that this was gonna be more of like a Lost in Space thing, where like they're both like just trying to get home, but home never. It's like the unattainable goal. I was like, oh wow, 3 issues in, they're already close to home. Okay, so I'm kind of curious though, like where does this go? Like, boy, like is it gonna like open up, and are we gonna get like? Is it going to shift from just being focused on these two characters to all of a sudden we're going to have like his planet, her planet? We know his dad's probably, I would imagine his dad's probably going to be like a big factor going forward. You know, if they go to his planet and she's on the ship, he's going to be like, you brought one of our enemies, you know, something like that. But also, I love this artwork. I know he's not doing Transformers, but Lorenzo De Felici does really good technical work with like the lines and the angles on the
Yeah, the ship looks really good.
mechanical drawing.
You know what I'd like? Kirkman and this guy to do a Firefly series.
Let Firefly rest already.
No.
I
You
love
hater.
it, but let it rest at least for a little bit. They got like all the god awful Boom Studios comics that are they're doing
Yeah,
stuff.
like yeah. You weren't so happy when they let Firefly rest for a while.
I didn't care. I wasn't watching Firefly when it first came out.
Or not Firefly, but I mean Firepower.
It was on hiatus. It wasn't canceled.
He was resting though.
Okay. But anyway, also I would point. Is it just me, or did this issue feel like really short? Like as when I was reading through it, I was like, okay, we're off the Rockeroid planet. Okay, here's a few pages. They're almost home. Oh, twist, double cross, betrayal, and book's over.
That is classic Kirkman though. He did this
Like
with The Walking Dead and Invincible always.
What the heck, man? Come on.
I think it's because so much happens. Like Kirkman.
If we didn't
Kirkman
get
keeps
firepower, if we didn't get firepower, I would say this was a weak offering from Kirkman.
This is your 20-minute anime episode. And you're like, no, wait a week.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, you know what? You're kind of right though, because those are those anime episodes where you like a lot happens.
Demon Slayer
stuff happens. One Piece.
Demon Slayer does it all the time. And
like that's it. Yeah. So yeah, congratulations, Kirkman. You put an anime in a Western comic, and they pulled it off.
You know, it's been 2 weeks since I read this, and I could have sworn like the anime, they both like abandon the ship and then use eject in like pods to go to different planets. But apparently that's not the case. That was
their plan. That was the plan where they were gonna get close and then ejector pod there.
Yeah.
And it never gets to that because she pulls this.
I think she's gonna take him, as prisoner in her planet.
Android just needs to pull like an alien and just like become a face hugger and like jump on her face.
She might be conflicted because she is taught, the kill of him, and if she comes back empty-handed, she's gonna be like really like, looked down as a failure. Because remember they need water and stuff. So he's a bargaining chip for her to get water from his planet. I guarantee it.
Maybe.
Okay, so I'm a little bit dissenting on that opinion. I feel from this panel or this page here where she kind of is confessing her failures and recognizing his strength, and then when he's like good luck, he's like no, good luck to you. I think this is, and I could be wrong, I'm just reading in, and Kirkman is more than able to surprise me. He pulls surprises all the time, but I have a feeling like there's more to her than meets the eye. I'm gonna use that again. We know some of the backstory to him, right? We know that he has a father that is disappointed in him and all this stuff, and he can't live up. We don't know anything about her backstory. right?
It's true.
We just learned though that she's some special badass warrior race thing that seems to be not the norm. But like, where does she come from? Obviously, like things are real desperate, so they sent like the best of whatever her to do stuff. But maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that she knows that needs to be avoided, or she can't go back to now, or what have you. I have a feeling this is a small prediction, just based on a random hunch, but well, not random, but I think she's not going to kidnap. I think she's going to kidnap him, but not to take the plane. I think she's going to flee.
Yeah,
Where my money
but
is going is like she's going to just turn the ship around and go, and they're going to be off in space as I originally thought, because there's something preventing her from going back, and she
so
realizes
What
that
if
they
she's
split
like
up.
what if on
what if
her
she's a convict? Like, what if she's like a deserter or something?
what
Well,
if
could
on her
be.
planet what if on her planet there's only women? It's like Themyscira, and on his planet there's only guys.
Uh,
And it has
I
something to do
thought
with the
about that.
crystal. That's yeah, like it's like it's kind of like Krypton, how they have their own pods for babies, creating them.
Yeah, I guess if they can reproduce in the lab, they could do that, but
Yeah,
I don't have a feeling. We don't know.
yeah.
Um, I just I don't think she's bad, is what I'm trying to say. I think
No,
that
no,
her motives in here. I don't think she's going to kidnap him and be like, "Aha, I got you." I think that there's an honor to her, that he's unlocked and he's earned something, and I think that this is a little bit of a red herring to make you think like, "Oh no, she betrayed him," but really she's doing this for his best interest.
or yeah, like you said, they're not going to go back to their planet. She's like, I need to get water from my planet, so we're going to search for water.
Yeah, that could be.
She needs to finish her mission. She never finished it, so they're not going to go back yet.
That could be. Yeah, that's
She's commandeering the ship.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. What about
So
you,
she might
Zach?
be
Are we both
actually be
out of our
executed.
minds? Oh, Zach must have went to get a water.
He's getting coffee.
sorry about that. What I missed, I was running to the next room to get my water bottle real quick.
Called
You're right,
it.
Dang it!
I am a prophet.
I'm
Well,
not having coffee after midnight. That's too much.
well, I'm not going to go
What
back
happened?
and I'm not going to go back and replay all that.
Wait. What happens if you have coffee every midnight? All the other Zach variants?
Midnight, I don't go to sleep until it's time to wake up.
That's when all the Zach variants appear.
So he's
yeah, we got to talk about this.
Yes, we do.
This
So at the end of the book,
preview.
after a nice 3-4 page letter page, which I really appreciated, had a little bit of insight that I shared with you
Have they
guys
come up
earlier.
with a clever name? Have they come up with a clever name for this one yet? I know, like
Uh,
Firepower has RC Cola.
I don't think so yet.
They need a clever one for this one.
So
Clever name.
so I flipped past the letters page and got to this, and I was like, well, this looks like Daniel Warren Johnson art. I wonder what it could be. And it's what you think it is. Now, I, as a kid, hated Spike and this girl when I was a kid.
Aw,
I was
Shia
like,
LaBeouf.
This kind of looks like Transformers Energon. The
this
kids
is
find the-
Transformer. Yeah, this is Transformers.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, as a kid, this is the Gen 1 original cartoon Transformers series, which I was a fan of before there was a cartoon. I had the toys first. Then the cartoon came out, and I was like, what the hell? Why did they add these stupid kids? Like, this should be a show about transforming robots. And just like they always did on Saturday morning cartoons, they always had to, like, add things that weren't there, like Orko and Prince Adam for He-Man, etc. And I hated these kids. But, surprisingly, Daniel Warren Johnson writing them, it seems a little better. So I'm going to try to be open-minded. This is a cool shot, though. You see these kids, they're spelunking. And they're like, what the heck? And they come out of this. And if you know the Transformers
yes, they fell to the
movie,
ship. Yeah.
yes, the great animated Transformers, the movie,
But
which
look
still
at
lives
that,
on.
though,
And,
look at
yes.
the detail.
Yep. And you see that, I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
oh, man. So I was immediately got a goosebumps when I got to this page.
Yeah.
And then they come inside and they're like, are those robots? What? And they're like, look at that. And that is why you do a teaser, ladies and gentlemen. Like,
Did you see the style though? Look, if you look at, you can see Bumblebee in the back. You can see all the classic designs, Generation 1 designs.
Yeah, I mean they got
Which
They got Megatron and Optimus Prime and Starscream. Like it's all
looks like
the
Red Alert.
that's all the big names right there, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
the one that in the red back there, I think that might be Cliff Jumper, or not Cliff Jumper, but he's the red Jeep.
But who do you think
I can't
that's in the distance flying in?
That who is Jetfire.
Jetfire, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Fresh from where?
Void Rivals.
Right? That's my take. We'll see. We'll see what that is.
Could be Ironhide in the back. That's what I'm thinking. Ironhide.
Yeah, it looks like
Man, I
Ironhide.
need Ironhide in this book.
Because
Ironhide is my favorite.
Because Red Alert is down in the either the upper right or the bottom. Right above, right on. Yeah, there's two of them there. They're laying there. There's a orange and red, and then there's a red and one. So who knows?
So is this going to
But,
pick up where a Transformers movie leaves off?
Yeah, which one? The animated one?
The animated movie.
Ah,
I don't know. This seems a little bit different, right? Like,
yeah.
but
Well,
they
the
have a
animated
big
movie, yeah,
in the animated
yeah,
movie. They have the big battle where the ship crashed,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
Optimus
but
Prime
that-
kills Megatron, or he thinks he kills Megatron. They have the big. That's
the,
one of the best.
crash, but yeah, but I mean
Yeah.
that's not where it ends though in the movie though. That's
Well, the
part of
movie doesn't end here, but the scene of these characters part like ends, and then you have different characters that go off into space, led by Galvanus Prime, and they have Rodimus's journey and everything like that. But we leave Earth in the movie. We leave the ship. So what I'm asking, is it possible that Daniel Warren Johnson is telling the story that we didn't see? You know what I'm saying? In between. What happened?
Okay. Maybe. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just. But I've never bought a Transformers comic in my life. Even though I love the cartoon as a kid, like the Transformers movie is one of my Transformers movie is one of my favorite movies like I can remember ever seeing in theaters. Like I loved it. I just liked, but for some reason I just never like the comics. I was like, eh. But this is gonna be a comic I'm gonna get. Daniel Warren Johnson is chef's kiss.
You know what's
Zach,
playing in my head right now?
Sorry, I didn't interrupt Zach.
No, I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was interrupting you. Go ahead, Makeman.
I was saying the song that's been playing in my head when you show that first thing and they find the kids like, you've got the touch, you got the power, yeah. Yes.
Dude, I'm gonna be playing that when this issue comes out. I'm gonna be playing the Transformers soundtrack.
Dude, if you looked up Stan Bush, it's his whole discography. Everything he's done, like it's like he's in was it Bloodsport? Did a song for that? Yeah. He did a song for that. He did a lot of songs, for different movies in the 80s. I love it. But no, I love the fact this is Generation 1 design. We're not going like a different like the movie design. I didn't care for because they updated Bumblebee from the Bug. No, I prefer
a lot of people didn't like that with the earlier Michael. Now, if you see Bumblebee, the new movie, they kind of revert back. They simplify like Bumblebee's look and a few of the Autobots or Decepticons. But yeah, those early Michael Bay movies.
I was just afraid. So what I was afraid is that they're like, oh, we got Transformers. Let's do Beast Wars comic. I'm like, no, don't do it.
Beast Wars was awesome, man. I remember Beast Wars. Man, I still need to see that movie. I think it's on Paramount streaming right now.
To each their own, Zach. To each their own. The cartoon, the 3D thing was not that great.
Go watch it. It was amazing. You hush your mouth, sir.
But Daniel Warren Johnson, Murder Falcon to Transformers, the attention to detail he puts into every single scene here.
He's gonna have Optimus Prime do suplexes on Decepticons too. So I'm waiting to see that.
Will he do a powerbomb though? No. So, and of course, Ash says he's never picked up or bought a Transformers comic did. I got one from Half Price Books, real cheap. I just picked them up. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It was a trifold one, opened up. Turned out to be like a $20 book. I did not even notice. Wow. I got it for Hasbro's book.
I
Yeah.
remember. I think I had. I don't have it
But,
anymore. I did have like a GI Joe Transformers. I think it was from IDW,
but
but
oh my
that was
gosh,
a
though.
long time ago.
So now I'm in such a mood for Transformers. I'm thinking about reading Transformers on one of the readings this Friday or Sunday.
Oh,
Optus Prime. I
we
kind
are
of want to read.
we are way behind schedule, so I need
We
to
we're we were
rein
before that.
RDV in.
I gotta
Sorry,
ask
RDV.
though, why if we were gonna do 3 books tonight, you shouldn't have done the 30-minute intro.
I didn't do a 30-minute intro. I cut it down to
Do a
20.
30-minute intro.
20. The intro should have been like, "Hi, we're going this," and then jump right into the book.
And I was trying to cut it to 15, but I was
Uh,
trying to give.
all right,
It's different.
let's go to the next
It's
book.
all right.
Surprise me.
Surprise you.
yeah, what
So the next
hold on.
book.
Is gonna be let's see. Is it gonna be
the other
Firepower?
Kirkman?
No, it's gonna be Firepower's gonna be last. I know him. He'll do
Nah,
Firepower.
I
Nope,
don't think
you don't
so.
know.
Oh,
Yeah, I was right.
No, I'm saving.
Oh,
I'm
that's-
saving. I'm saving the big one for last.
that's-
But
I
I
that's
could
what
I
she
could have done
said.
this one last too because this was the thumbnail. But
This was also a pretty big one. I really enjoyed this issue. My LCS first stop I made once I got back home from Florida.
First impressions where you even go over it. My first impressions, it was all right.
What on earth?
First single issue compared to
fantastic.
some of the past issues.
I
yeah,
enjoyed this more.
I'm
than the
a little
last issue.
bit I'm a little bit with RDV on that.
This was an information drop.
Eh,
It's like I said, until you get to the big battle, everything like reading up to it, it's kind of like Dragon Ball Z as Goku powers up for 30 minutes. Ah!
Well, this to me was just Kirkman.
It's a little bit of that. Yeah.
Kirkman not quite at his best. They can't all be home runs. I definitely
He's-
don't. I don't hate the book or
Yeah.
anything, but I just
Kirk,
we've been on a roll lately with some really amazing books, especially
watch.
like
These 3 kids, they're gonna end up being pivotal in some future story.
I'm sure they're gonna get the firepower. So
they're gonna be kidnapped by the bad guys and they're gonna be used as hostages,
oh,
or they'll become villains.
They're gonna be the Newsboy Legion.
I hope
Anyway.
not.
They're
I
gonna
could
help
see
Hero.
Zach being right, and I hope not.
Also, this curly-haired kid stole Charlie Brown's shirt.
Well, yeah, the kid up here who kind of looks like a Marty McFly when he was 10 years old.
Yeah, Marty McFly, Charlie Brown with hair, and Miles
Or-
Morales.
Yeah, or actually,
They all live in the neighborhood.
or not Marty McFly, his dad, Crispin
his
Glover,
dad?
or whatever it is. Or
Mr.
whatever they-
McFly.
Yeah, Mr. Frickfly when he was a young kid. And at first I'm like, who the hell is this kid? I'm like, oh, that's right. He lived next door to them.
Way
Yeah,
back
this
when.
is the kid that they had to like return home that like had seen him use the
Yeah.
powers, and this is like 15 issues ago. So it's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
was
neat
like,
to see them bring this kid back, but this opening scene did not work for me. He's basically like these kids are sitting on the
Recap.
street and they're talking as a recap. They're talking about like, oh, because they're near Chicago, right? And that's where the dragon landed. So it's and they're like, well, how can adults go to work when there's a dragon and blah blah blah? And then this kid's like, Haley Johnson and her family are at the center of this. And when I was at their house, blah blah, I saw a fireball. And it's like, okay, fine. And a couple of things that didn't. Well, yeah, I'll just because the next scene will kick in. This didn't work for me because he says all this and like he says something in a line where that made me just kind of groan. It's like
I love
he's
Haley.
like I bet it's just a matter of time before the Johnson family comes back and saves the world. They used to scare me, but that's just because Haley was such a badass. And I'm like, no boys are talking like this. No boys are talking about girls being badass. Like, or are they? Like, never when I was a kid. Like,
I don't know about boys today.
Nowadays they are.
maybe.
Nowadays.
Back when I was a kid, that was not the case.
yeah,
Although,
boys.
I did get slapped by a girl, and then was told later on that girl had a crush on me. So I don't know. Maybe there's something about girls.
Boys
scaring
don't
guys
idolize
like
girls
Do you-
being badasses. They idolize girls
So-
being hot. They idolize girls
I don't
being.
know. Xena was a badass.
I want to point out something. If you watched Full House back in the day, in the 80s and stuff, no, there was a kid who was in Michelle's class who had a crush on her. He was a dweeby kid. He was really smart. but he had a crush on Michelle, and he was
Okay.
kind of like this. He is a simp. So
I don't know.
it's-
Just that line, the line just didn't work for me. Of like, you know, I don't know. I think it just could have been written different instead of saying because first of all, the word badass is super cliche. Like to describe a
Look-
woman like she's badass is like, can you get a thesaurus and come up with some other way to prop up a woman?
in-
Can you say like, oh, she's
Right.
really tough, or oh, she's really brave, or whatever? But no, it's always badass. She's such a
Like that
badass.
scene.
But
It's
look
that
at-
scene from Dead Poet Society where Robin Williams is like, a woman is not very like he's like going off on the word like very pretty or like very like be adventurous with your vocabulary. Don't just say very something.
So I also want to point out the way he's dressed compared to the other kids. Obviously, he stands out from them. But for all they know, Kirk is going to say he's gay.
I feel like we're really focusing on this one page, and there's so much more to this
Yeah,
issue.
I know.
You are correct. I'm trying to move past, but the other thing that didn't work for me was like how the kids are like, "Oh, this is the stupidest thing I ever heard," and they kind of punch him and fall over. And I'm
Good.
like,
He
there's
deserves it.
no, like
You
that
say
would
something
make
dumb, you get roasted. That's how
no,
you
it's
learn
not
to
dumb
say
though. Here's the problem. You just set up that there's a dragon. These kids are literally talking about a dragon assaulting the city, and they don't understand why their parents are going to work. And then he talks about that he saw Haley's parents throwing fireballs, and they're just like, "Pff, that's so stupid." It's like in the real world, that would be stupid, right? But they just saw a dragon. Now all of a sudden that opens up, things aren't stupid anymore. Like if, you know what I'm saying? Like that's why it didn't work for me. Just because these kids literally believe in the dragon and they don't understand why parents are going to work. But fireballs, that's too much to believe. Sorry. I'm overemphasizing, as
this,
Zach said.
This rant and rave brought to you by Ash on Comp. No, I'm
This
just kidding.
next panel, however, I would thought
This panel
was
look
awesome.
At the colors. God,
Yes.
look at the coloring on this.
Yeah,
Holy cow!
this repressed anger from his Adelins.
Man,
You know, this
the
is-
red on the top half, the blues on the bottom, the brightness of the fireballs, the swoosh and the all the
This
stuff,
I
the-
like
the posing of the kids.
Yeah.
I
the
love
simplicity
this
of the
panel.
art here gives me that sort of retro feel that I love from Darwin Cook.
Yeah.
Go ahead, RDB.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I love the fact that this is becoming book more and more as I read, the more I love, the more it's because of the fact it's a family dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now the fact that I don't have Wally West family anymore, Jeremy Adams.
What are you talking about? Okay? That's a whole different topic. You're
No,
getting
no.
off topic.
No, I'm not gonna. No, what the hell are you talking about?
What are you
It's the
talking about? We're not talking about the Flash. We're talking about firepower.
No, if you listen to what I'm saying, dumbass, quit interrupting me. I said one of the reasons I loved Wally West's run over on DC because the family dynamic. His kids were getting involved too. Now the fact that he's got his son. He's treating his son and his daughter how to use it. They're still treated like kids. They're written like kids. They're not written like adults. You know, like people like Kirkman. He writes them as as any kid would react to. He messed up on the first, like those kid, with Ash pointed out. It was kind of weird, but he's always gotten these characters right. At first I hated the son. I thought he was annoying. But no, but the son has kind of grown on me. He's more matured. The daughter's more matured now, and the fact that I love how it's like, even the brothers always complain. It's like, oh, it's like complaining about he's like, yeah, I shot a little fireball. It sucks. She always, he's complaining. They're just jealous of each other. Just how kids siblings do. But I love the fact that he's kind of shocked. He's like, oh crap,
Yeah.
Because in a little while, his kids are attacking him. I love this. I miss this in comics. I want more of this. As much as I wanted to put it with the point where it's so cliche that you get sick of it. Because at this point, it's very, very rare. And that's one of the I liked Firepower is that you can have a freaking dragon there. Sure, you have the comedy, but I love the family dynamic, and even the point where you get to the mother's how the mother reacts in this whole issue. Kirkman will make you like certain characters, and just by the way they act or the dialogue, and make you hate other characters. But then you're like, when you finally get to liking someone, he changes it on you. Not always, but over the arts, Chris Amney's art is on Spotter here. I would love to see this as a live action series. I just hope it doesn't get the Netflix or the Amazon Prime treatment.
Well, wait, Amazon did Invincible, and Invincible is awesome. I think it would be
Yeah,
better as an animated series like
but
Invincible.
what you're forgetting though is that Amazon changed his girlfriend into a
Okay,
raging bitch.
one character out of 30.
They made
Let's bitch about the whole
they
show
made
because of
they
one
made they
character.
made his friend gay.
Okay. What did they change about Invincible? What did they change about Omni Man or Battle Beast
I
or
just said that.
or Adam Eve?
I just gave you two examples in
That's
Invincible.
All
two.
right, all right, all
But
right,
they're not
guys,
even
guys,
big characters.
we're on page 2. It's like, all
I'm
right,
just
so,
saying.
all right, we gotta rein
I
it in. We gotta rein it in. I'm usually the one that's
art.
monopolizing the mic.
Yeah, no more. We're
No more.
rebelling.
Kids, don't make me turn this car around.
Anarchy, anarchy.
So I'm gonna proceed forward. We got the kids. They're sparring with dad. They both can do fireballs. Um,
And he's
the little
killed.
kid manages to land a hit, and dad's like, "Whoa, I wasn't expecting that." The dialogue here from Owen is a little off to me. If I were the editor, I think I would have like asked for a rewrite, just so it didn't come across so clunky. But regardless, Owen's taking a break, and then we cut over to a scene with my favorite character. Um,
Who's the real kid?
right, and so after what 80 years or whatever, this guy's been trying to train the fireball. He finally learned how to do, and now he just can't stop throwing fireball. He's like, fireball for you, fireball for you, fireball for you, fireball for you. And he's training this class, and he's trying to train everyone, and he's just all over the place. And Owen's talking to what's his name? I forget his character's name. They always have
Ma
the Ma Guang.
Guan? Ma Guang? Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, he's a quick study, quite humble too. How quickly he melted this, how quickly the melted stone is so easily forgotten. Shh, he'll hear you. And then the next panel, oh, makes the oh, he heard you. It's such a comical scene.
Nice
Um,
change. It looks so great.
right. And so this was kind of a cliche scene, but this is an example of like a cliche trope being used right for comic relief. And he's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you spent all these years, blah blah. The soaring eagle sees only empty sky when it looks anywhere but down. Shall I fetch my water pails, Magwang? No, no, what? No, master." So that's a nice little comedy moment. He's like, "Much better." And then he's throwing fireballs, and now the kids who were previously sparring with dad, they're like, "Oh, should we?" So they jump in, and it's kind of just like a lighthearted kind of like moment when there's a lot of dark parts to the previous issues, so we could just kind of get some relief. And RDV, I'll let you make any comments on the book up to this far.
I gotta say, going back to that first part where you see Owen gets hit by the fireball, I thought he was dead. The way he drew that fireball is a giant hole in his chest.
Yeah.
Then I realized, I was like, oh, it's yeah. But overall, I did like the dialogue. It pulls from a lot of different stuff I watched, a lot of different anime.
Just these two. It's just these two bubbles here that just didn't feel
Yeah.
like the way people talk. It's like,
Right?
so I dodged her extra hot fireball and planned to deflect the brunt of impact from Doug's. It just felt clunky as all. Like, I get what he's trying to say here. It just didn't feel like a real person talking. That's all I was trying to say. Just those two bubbles, not the whole issue as a whole is fine. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. As I said, I love the art on this. I love the humor. He's like, oh, he thought the kids were not gonna. He's like, yes, when you see a giant fireball, you're like, oh, that's gonna hurt more. No, his son's little one is like dense. And then they go over here, like I was talking about the kids, and then you're seeing him, Wei Lung, just having so much more fun now. Now that he got the fireball, he unburdened his feelings stuff from the previous issue, and he's just going Oprah on them. You get one, we all get one.
Right.
And then the next page, you get to see Owen again, and Owen's kind of got the smirk at the bottom, on the next page after like kind of he's the bottom right there. You see him? He's got the smirk there. The kid's playing with. He forgives the old man. his armor, he just can't help it. He's just, even though the guy betrayed him, I'm thinking he's at the end of this.
Good
The
point.
guy,
I hadn't,
yeah,
I hadn't thought about that because it's been like 30 days since the last issue. That wasn't on my mind, but I'm glad that you brought that up. That's a good observation.
yeah. But I mean, I love the whole fireball set. Just the kids. Look at the kids' smiles on their faces. Like, and he's like, and I love how he says like, oh, he throws the fireballs at them, and he's like, oh, you flee embarrassing. Should be. You're like, have you? And the kids are like, yeah, let's go do it. And like, hey old man, show us what you got. I just love that. Kids being kids. Because up to this point, they've been like not allowed to be kids. They're allowed to just have fun. Like, and I go back to, I don't know, anybody watches Dragon Ball Z and all that stuff, but the younger kids, like, and like you kind of gotta like, they're able to just have fun, like Trunks and Goten, just having fun fighting. And then you got you kind of got like a Master Roshi kind of guy, and it's So I mean, I love the fact that there's so much humor in this. It's lighthearted. It's not so much drama. There was drama, but we're going away from that. Kirkman's like, it's the perfect balance. You're gonna have your ups, downs, betrayals.
Well, whenever you're telling stories that have like deep drama,
yeah,
it helps to have moments of levity like this. So because it's really for the sake of the audience. Like sometimes if it's just dull and like not dull, but if it's just like dark and depressing issue after issue after issue, it can just become like tedious for the reader. And so it's good to have breaks like this where it's like, oh, okay, some lighthearted humor, just to kind of like weather it so that you can go back to the drama and it doesn't feel like, oh, it's just this never ending road where it's just, you're going through a, grindstone.
Yeah. Yeah. So I said I like the fact that there's still humor in this and heart in your family, and that's I said that's one of the reasons I like Jeremy Adams' Flash, was because it was a family thing, but you had adventure stuff like that, and you had the humor, but you also you showed the love, compassion for each other. And this book is one thing is about compassion. Good versus evil, but even you're evil. I feel like Owen, even if someone's evil, he'll still kind of try to like, you don't have to do this. Don't let me know. He's kind of like a Superman in a sense. He
Zach,
doesn't want to hurt anyone.
You got anything to add?
Not on this. I did like to see now that he has the ability to throw fireballs. I did like to see, it's almost like he's got this rejuvenated energy. So I did like seeing that. Like I said, I love that whole the 3 panels where Ma Guang is Owen's like, be quiet, he'll hear you, and he makes that face. That cracked me. I laughed out loud when I was reading that book. Just it was hysterical.
Yeah, wasn't that very anime style too?
Very much like an anime. Like they'll have those scenes where like a character has like a dramatic change in their face. It's very similar to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like you literally could have him talk about his wife, and then his wife shows up. He's like, "Oh crap!"
Yeah. So and then Ma Guang, so he has an interesting couple of panels later on in this issue too. So it's almost like, hey, remember this guy? We're gonna, we're slowly gonna like wedge him back into the fold, and he's gonna have his moment later on. So yeah, no, I like this.
Speaking of moments later on, so we cut over to our pal Reggie, who is Owen's wife's partner, partner, who somehow got looped into all this kung fu fighting business.
I call him Channing Tatum.
And so this is what's her name? Kirkman used like the most weird like Chinese names, but I can never remember any of them.
Is it Zhang Lei or something?
Ling Zan. Yeah. So Ling Zan, which was previously seen in the very, very, very beginning trade paperback as Owen's first love, when she was bald.
She's bald back then too.
Yeah. So she and Reggie meet, and it's a little quaint little moment here. Oh, so your dad owns the island, and that's it. So I have a feeling that's foreshadowing things to come. And then we cut over, and I'm not going to stop because it's only one page. we cut over to the setting sun. It's a nice idyllic sunset, and we see is it Kelly is her name?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Karen. I
Kelly.
call her Karen. I call her Karen in this panel.
How the F dare you?
So Kelly is on looking at the sunset, and Owen's like, "Hey, talking about like, kids are kicking butt, and you're missing it," and she's just like stoic. Oh yeah, yeah, something wrong? Honestly, Owen, what isn't wrong? And so she gets
Lack
all
of taste.
emotional, and it's like, "Oh, there's a giant dragon ravaging Chicago as we speak, and the whole world is going holding its breath, waiting to see what happens next, and blah 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 blah." And it's my kids, and Owen's job, of course, is to be there for her, and he's, in my perspective, doing admirable. But oftentimes, as we as men know, that sometimes it's not enough. But she gets a kind of redeeming moment. He puts his hand on her leg, and she puts her hand on his. So it's good to see that she's not totally just embittered. She's just going through a stressful time. And so Owen walks away to see Ma Guang, and he's having troubles. And he's just like, I'm quitting, blah blah blah. He's like, what? What do you mean you're quitting? You're like the star student. Because Ma Guang was there before Owen. He's been there since the beginning, since he was a baby. He's been the
Former
best student.
rival.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
been the best student. He's kind of like if we're doing like
Well, he
Karate
was.
Kid, he's he's Johnny Lawrence, like kind of like he
Wasn't
was the
he also?
star.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Weren't they both vying for Zhang Ling or Ling Zhan's hand?
That
He's
might be
definitely more
two.
like Johnny.
Yeah.
That might be two.
He's definitely
Now they
Johnny.
don't have like a
Yeah.
bitter rivalry that way. I'm just saying that Ma Guang was just like the star student, and Owen kind of came out, as already an adult and showed up. And Ling Zong used to like kick his butt, or not Ling Zong, Ma Guang, and there's a kind of little funny statement here, and he's like, come on, the day's young, and besides, Ling Zong was the star student, and so he kind of like encourages him and says, "Hey, look, man, this isn't about," because he wants to quit because he's like, I'm the star student, all this stuff I've never been able to do, and I can't do the fireball. I'm never gonna. He's like, look, it doesn't work that way. It's not about like putting your time in. It's about just cracking the code, and once you get it, you got it. So he's like, oh, okay, thanks for the pep talk, and it's a quick little scene. I think Kirkman's trying to just get through all these characters and like how they're positioning them for the next phase of the story and what their motivations are. Perhaps putting characters together in the case of Reggie and Ling Zan so that we can have emotional drama so that Kelly's partner friend is now will probably be seeing her husband's ex-girlfriend. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but that seems to be what Kirkman's doing. He likes to do some of that stuff, what have you. Uh, Zach, what do you have to say about this?
My guy Reggie, good to see him. No, I agree. It does seem like he's potentially setting something up there, maybe, which would be awkward for Kelly because she's like, "Oh, my partner's girlfriend is my husband's ex-girlfriend." I could see how that would be really weird. Sidebar: Chris Samney doing the Lord's work with the facial expressions. I like that face on Kelly on the bottom panel. It's just like that, you know, that kind of snippy, like, well, yeah, what's not wrong? I like his facial expression there. Um, and then the stuff, yeah, with Ma Guang, I really dug that because yeah, like Bateman said, it's like one of those common anime tropes where you have like a rival, but you're not like it's not like good and evil. It's like you're friends, but you're also like trying for the top spot. And then like you compared it to the Karate Kid, which I think makes a ton of sense. So I liked that too because we haven't seen a lot of Reggie, we haven't seen a lot of Ma Guang. It's been mostly centered around Owen, as it should be. I mean, he's the star. But like we've got little bits of Kelly and his family and his mentor. So it's nice to see some of these characters that are kind of more on like the outer rim of the cast of characters getting some spotlight. Now, does that mean that Kirkman's teeing them up to be killed off, or is he actually gonna like dive deep into them and like seriously like evolve their characters? I don't know. It's Kirkman. He might be planning to kill people off. Who knows? I'm
Uh,
scared for some of these people's
yeah.
lives.
I want to point out though, up to this point, I was trying to figure like, was there any inspiration for Kelly's like her hairstyle look like this? Because obviously he's not doing the virtue signal, because women have short hair and stuff. It's not shaved to the side. I kept thinking like, I've been watching a lot of martial arts movies from the '80s. Cynthia Rothrock comes to
Yep.
mind,
And
and I'm wondering if
she's also a
you know,
cop, so I think that
sure, but
she's
cops
going
are
to be a
allowed to
little
have
bit more
longer hair.
butch.
They're allowed to, but like I know cops, like women will keep their hair shorter, or if they have long hair, they'll keep it like bunned up because that
Sure,
gives you less to hang
but
on.
but
Like if
but
you're fighting, it's less likely to get gripped and pulled on
but
if it's shorter.
it's more like the ones I've seen are usually their hair is kind of like the Jenna Van Dyes. You know,
Mhm.
it's chin length at least, or not the Justin Bieber hairstyle. The last time I saw anything like this was Cynthia Rothrock in the '80s, in the Hong Kong movies.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Doing a,
that there could be some sort of inspiration to that.
I'm curious. I'll have to track down Chris Ramsey on Twitter and ask him inspiration for this. Was Kirkman ask him to do this, or did he do this on his own? The character,
Yeah.
that becomes
I think also one thing to consider though is it Kirkman seems to kind of write from his memory of things. Like, so obviously today, I think today it's very common to see women just totally being like more feminine, long-haired cops and things like that. But when women were really pushing the scene of being cops like 20, 30 years ago, obviously there's been female police before then and stuff, but it's becoming more of a mainstream thing. I remember when I first started seeing women becoming more of a mainstream thing for women cops. The early times were more like this, like they were the more butch women being cops.
Yeah, like
Nowadays,
GI
it's
Jane and
yeah.
yeah.
So to me, when I read it, that was my takeaway. But now that you point the Cynthia Rothrock thing out, I hadn't considered that. I think that you might be onto something there.
yeah. But another who's the colorist on this?
Sam Wilson.
Sam
Sam
Wilson, yeah.
Wilson. Because I
Yeah.
feel like we talk about Chris Samney, Kirkman.
No,
Yeah,
Just
Wilson.
look.
Sam Wilson is like his colorist, kind of like how Mike Spicer is always doing the
So
coloring for Daniel Warren
so,
Johnson.
but the coloring on this book, the fact that it's a sunset, it looks like a sunset. You got the
Yeah.
silhouettes, the shading,
Yeah,
everything. Oh, the pink and oranges, I love that. And it's kind of like a Daniel Warren Johnson kind of does stuff like that too in his books. We have the pink and the yellow kind of stuff, and how it even has the cast on the shadows. Like the tides coming and rolling. Like
Yep.
it really looks like a tropical island. We
No.
talk about the waves. The coloring really helps too.
Yep.
You can have the best artists on here, but if the coloring sucks, it really brings the book down. And like I say, everything is the chef's kiss. It's a trifecta. These three people working together really works well together.
Yep. I agree.
not
I
is it
normally don't
not
care too
Sam
much about
Wilson? It's Matt
colorists.
Wilson. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I
Not
normally don't care too much about colorists, but when they're really good, like Matt Wilson, like they matter. And I agree. This Matt Wilson's doing Sammy all sorts of favors to
We
to bring
we
out his
talked
art.
we talked about that with Ram V on Paradiso, the
Yep.
inking, the lettering, all that stuff, the writing,
Yep.
penciling. It all. If you don't have that perfect combination, you try to get especially if you got a guest person coming here replace one. You change the coloring. If it's somebody else, and you'll be able to tell. You'll definitely will tell that the coloring is not the same as it before. That's why I see people always look at like, wow, we love the artist, we love the writer, but I as our friend Curtis Skit would always say, the lettering matters, the coloring matters. You know, everybody forgets about those guys, but they do. And I always appreciate it when it's on a company like that, not Hi-Fi Coloring or land, when it's actually a person and has a name.
Yeah.
You know,
Now, as far as lettering goes, typically you're gonna not notice it because the job is to not notice the lettering. Like, typically, at least for
I leave
me,
the font.
lettering
Yeah.
is an issue of if I notice it, you're doing a bad job. Like, I don't.
Well,
It should fade into the background and be as unobtrusive as possible. Your job, unlike the art, is not to stand out, right?
but right that middle panel right there where he's whispering, how it goes a little lightly, that matters. It tells you he's whispering.
Hmm.
You know, the font exactly. It's on and he's emphasizing that because it's on a uh, uh, italic, form. So I mean, I love that little changes in that. It's not, I said I love the font they use. The Marvel DC, they all use the same font. When you look at some of these other indie books, they use a different font, and it stands out well, and it actually appeals to the story.
Well, the idea is actually to look like it's handwritten, because coloring being a font is relatively a new thing. Lettering used
nobody
to.
writes nobody writes in caps.
I write in caps.
Every single letter in caps.
Yeah.
I would. Oh man, you're the people that Mario blocks in the chat. The caps locks on. Go people.
Yeah. I find it. I've been writing in caps for so long. I don't even know how to write normally anymore. But as far as comics go, that's just always been the way. Like,
yeah,
it's a handwritten. Computers have taken over, and people now
Mhm.
type in, and they that's why they use these fonts though, is because these fonts look like a hand. I've seen comics actually. They tried this like in the late '90s, early 2000s, where they would actually just do like typed in, and it looks terrible, like typewriter fonts.
Yep.
But moving along, so we're gonna cut to the next scene, and we got the wreckage of Chicago, and we've got Master Shaw and presumably Sleeping Dragon, and he's confronting the military. You are brave people, I give you that. And it's like, you have defeated our army, made a mockery of our forces. If I'm honest, what usually follows in a conflict like this is a list of demands. Demands! And the dragon's like, huh? And he's like, I demand you bow to your new ruler. To which they bow. And
Did they throw
this,
in?
this was
sorry, I
like
was just gonna ask it.
Well, real quick,
Did they?
okay, hold on. This kind of threw me off, and then I just had to be like, okay, just roll with it. It's a comic book. But I was like, I don't think they would just bow to this guy. And also,
And that's my question.
And I think also, I'm having a trouble with this. I'm like, look, I get that that Owen can like throw fireballs, and he's now teaching his family to throw fireballs, and presumably he's going to teach the whole temple how to throw fireballs. That's still not the firepower that the U.S. military can muster. So I haven't seen the end of the story, so I don't know where it's going to go. But I'm having trouble as an audience member going, wait, the military's, I don't know what's going on. And I don't see, but I'm like, it's Saturday morning cartoons. Like that, I got to go back and go, yep, that's totally how this would work. So I'm cool with it. What were you going to say, RDB?
I was gonna say, did last issue, did they throw a nuke at it? Did they try nuking it?
No, I don't think they nuked it.
Yeah,
I thought they did.
Yeah. So my next question is, be like, okay, well, they're surrendering. That is kind of the whole U.S. military would be over there, but this is like the National Guard, I thought, and like in just somewhat, but they wouldn't bow down. They would be killed right away. You would just slaughter them.
I couldn't see the military.
So
U.S. military.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
This is Biden's military, not ours.
That's true. I did think about that. I was like, oh wait, this is General Mealy. I could see him bending a knee.
So my question, not my question, but I'm thinking, because if the normal weapons cannot hurt this thing, and we're learning more about the fireballs, how it has to do with unlocking emotions. So maybe because that dragon's just full of so much negativity, hate, maybe getting enough people unlocking their love or passion for their fellow man stuff, when they use the fireballs, it's gonna hurt it.
Oh.
Because they're using their spirits. Yeah.
All right. Good call. Okay. Zach, what about you? Anything you wanted to add before we move on?
No, not really. I mean, this is, okay. Yeah. Hey, remember, guys, there's a dragon. It's not just all like emotional stakes and Owen's, mentor and teacher killing his parents. It's not, we have a big dragon too.
Zach's
all right.
Zach's mad because there's no Nazis in here.
Oh, good Lord.
So now we move back, and Kelly's still in the same pose. It's now nighttime. She's still just staring off. Owen comes out. Are you coming to bed? No, I can't sleep. Leave me be.
All right,
sorry,
bitch.
I had to sneeze there. Apologize.
Is that my ex over there?
So Owen is walking away, and he looks distraught. And this isn't, again, good. I'm sure Zach would give kudos here with the facial expressions. And we cut over to Kelly, and she's staring. And once Owen's in bed, she looks back like, okay, he's asleep. And we can see she's practicing. And
What if they all
I have mixed feelings about this. Um, Zach, why don't you go ahead?
I kind of also have mixed feelings. I don't know if they're as strong now as they were when I first read it. Because the cool thing about Kelly is, unlike Owen and unlike the kids, she was like the one without powers.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, but she was a cop, so she had like cop training. She had her gun. I was
Uh-huh.
like, okay, so she can defend herself, but in a different way. Um, so her trying to emulate and do the same thing that everyone else in the family is doing, I was like, that kind of takes some of the uniqueness away from her. But now after the fact, though, I kind of get it. I mean, because maybe there is a little bit, maybe something she doesn't tell Owen during like the sunset scene is like, yeah, she's upset because her kids are going to be expected to fight a dragon. But then maybe there's also this thing like, everybody else in my family can defend themselves from dragons and crazy snake ninjas because they all have fire powers, and all I have is a mortal gun.
She feels useless, like the Human Torch in our readings. In the point where she
Wha-
remember she didn't go to she never went to training. She did a little bit of training with them, but where everyone else pretty much has been training on that mountain, they all have connection to like Owen's past. Whereas kids, when his daughter got the fireball, I'm like, whoa, maybe it's hereditary, Maybe he just has a certain gene is able to unlock it.
Mm.
But now I'm thinking like maybe anybody can access it. It's kind of like Dragon Ball Z, and the humans can unlock their chi, or ki, what do you call
Mm-hmm.
it?
It's like the Force now. You don't have
Yeah.
to be a Jedi. Anybody can use the Force now, guys.
Zach, calm yourself. But I'm just saying, because if it's revealed that in order to unlock the power of the fist, the reason nobody could ever do it because most people were selfish. People who are selfless are able to they unburden themselves of all their negative thoughts, all the stuff that
I don't
positive.
think it's being self. Wouldn't in the last issue, didn't they say it's like you have to imagine like something that you can't live without or you can't stand to lose? Because like when it was his
Yeah.
mentor, it's like he unlocked the firepower because he didn't want to lose his connection with Owen.
We also confess finally too.
Oh yeah, maybe there's that too.
So I
So
had a
she's
problem with this because it just sort of triggered some negative memories of different tropes that I've seen. One of them like goes back to the MCU movie with Shang-Chi, and how Shang-Chi, of course, was the master, kung fu master, trained with his dad all his life, whatever. And sister wasn't allowed to train, so she had to train by herself. And of course, training by herself, she ended up becoming even more of a master at kung fu than her brother, who trained. Like that was such an annoying thing for that movie. Like I hated it so much. And this brought back that memory here. I'm like, wait a second, her husband is the master of the firepower. Like he could train her, but because of what her pride or ego, she won't let him. She doesn't want to, so she just trains by herself. And of course, what do we think's going to happen when you train yourself? Well, we'll get to that.
Well,
Um,
I see. Here's the thing too. I didn't read when I read this. I didn't see this as like she's training. I thought she was just like doing like a one time, like, let me just give this a shot and see what happens. I didn't see this as like a
yeah.
continued effort when I
No,
read it.
I don't know.
she
I'm looking at
well
the
she,
sweat on her brow and stuff. I don't think that's just like I'm going to try one time. This to me is like
well
I'm up all
look
night doing this.
look at her eye up there, the slyness. Okay, he's gone.
Yeah,
Now I'm gonna go do this. She's
exactly.
been practicing. She's been practicing by herself, but she does watch them, but never participated. And she now and he said, now I want to be the contrarian since Breen's not here. When Kirkman came out and did that virtue signal in that interview about Invincible,
Oh, good.
I hope this isn't a crack in the armor, the chink in the armor. We're going to start seeing more of this into his works. I really hope so. I hope I'm wrong.
She's
But
one of the two white characters in the book. Everyone else is Chinese.
Well, it just, and the other thing that goes back to is I know you guys are big lovers of it, but my problem with like the Flash, especially a different Flash, the CW Flash, which you guys aren't as big of fans
mhm.
of, but where it's like everyone's got to have a power. Everyone, like, no one can just be a character. It's like if you're a character, we got to make you. It's like Kelly, to what Zach said. Like, she was the cop. She had these different skills. She's the mother, takes care of the kids. Why does she need to be a warrior too? I just
Oh, she's like Joe's wife on
like
Flash.
why? Yeah, like Joe's like it just
She's the
to me,
ability.
like I
She's the
said, it
ability. Yeah.
feels cliche. It feels like this is what's always done now. We can
Yep.
never just have a character stand by and just be just a person, especially if it's a woman character. Maybe sometimes that can happen if they're a man. Like, they never gave Joe any powers on the Flash, right? But every girl character on the Flash gets power.
Joe had the most unique power. The power of Danny Tanner as a Black Man.
So I've never totally warmed up to Kelly in general, and maybe that might just be my personal thing because her personality type rubs me the wrong way. And
She just
when
came out very not I don't want to say self-centered, but maybe like she's a cop. Oh, and you know what you're talking about. People are dying here, and you want to do this.
yeah,
You know,
she's just the kind of
She's-
girl that I would never be with. Like, so it's harder for me to relate, and I wanted to see her be a supportive person. I'm tired of this need that, like, the only value women have are to be badasses. I'm just really tired of that. That's not what we need. We don't need
up
women
until
badasses.
up
Like,
until this point, she's been. Like I say, up until this point, she's been very, very supportive of him. You know,
in
she's been.
some senses, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I
that's
haven't
that's
hated her, but I've never like fell in love with her. And this scene, I don't know, just was like, okay.
and then we go to Stan Sakai. The top part looks
So
like
we're at the temple. We got an overview shot of this training, and Ma Guang's having trouble with Owen, and it's like Owen's trying to teach him, but Ma Guang's actually the better martial artist, and he's like, come on, you used to be able to wipe the floor with me, and he's like, that doesn't help. And he's just, this is like the scene from the Matrix with Morpheus, like, stop trying to hit me and hit me. And he's like, this is all about emotion. You know this. Give up. Give it up. He's like, loss, pain, fear, find it and use it. And we hear from Ma Guang, he's like, I've spent my entire life driving those feelings away. This isn't going to work. Just try. No. And he's throwing a punch. And I found this scene to be particularly interesting because,
anger,
that makes sense. Like, that's also with the master. Like,
passion.
well, obviously he learned this because he trained
Mhm.
under what's his name? I forget. Lu. What's his name? He's my favorite
Lu
character. And I
Fang?
forget his name. Lu Fang. Lu.
I don't know.
Anyways,
Louis.
so we find out that he's having trouble because he's repressed his emotion. Right? It's all stoicism and everything. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And so he throws a punch. No, and this is a great. I love this technique in comics. Always, this is the page reveal. Throws a punch. No, a massive fireball comes out, and you're just like, whoa! And that expression on Owen's face, it was my expression. And
he's back. He's back. Matrix 2. His back's gone.
right. And I was like, this is okay, cool. And we turn the page, and Owen's down. He looks up, and then Ma Guang turns around, and everyone's shocked to see. Oh, it was Kelly that threw the fireball. To which, again, I had mixed feelings because I was like, oh, he's teaching Ma Guang, and he's,
I was pissed.
And then it was like, what? And then, of course, the kid's like, Mom's going to help us fight the dragon. And then, damn right. And I was just like, oh, this is so corny.
And then Owen's like, what the fuck?
This is so cheese. Like, first of all, you were right before. You said, like, he nailed these kids. This was the first time I didn't think he nailed the kids. Like, look, I live with kids exactly this age, and they're not like super excited that mom's gonna do like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's typically not how they exactly react.
Dad's the cool dad, and the mom's kind of like the strict person. She's the cop. She's the strict person.
Oh, and just kids.
Owen's.
Yeah, just kids in general don't. I just
like.
Anyways, that's the end of the book. It ends kind of weird. I don't hate it. I do like Firepower. It's one of my favorite books on the shelf. This was an awkward scene to me that I just was like caught off guard.
It's Star Wars all over again.
Zach, what about you?
All right, folks. Here we go.
Sell me
We're
on
gonna
it.
fight.
Sell me on it.
I liked it. You know what? Okay. Because at first I thought it was Ma Guang, and I was like, oh gosh, he got a big old fireball. But
Yeah,
then we
big old
find out it's
fireball.
Kelly. We find out it's Kelly, and I don't hate it. And here's why I don't hate it.
Did you like
Because like I
women with
said,
bigger balls than you?
Well, in his family, the women do.
I'm
what do you
sorry.
His daughter
I'm
and
sorry.
his
It
mom.
was low hanging fruit. Sorry, I had to take it.
Anyway, no. Remember what I was saying earlier? When it's his master, whose name is also escaping me,
I love
Sneakerhead. You know, it's all about what are you afraid to lose? What is your, what is something you can't stand losing?
Mhm.
Clearly, with Kelly, it's her. She doesn't want to lose, obviously, Owen, and obviously her two kids. And I just think that, especially when it comes to like mom
gosh.
figures. Hold on, RDV. Let me get.
No,
let
I
me
was thinking out
this.
loud. None of you.
Okay, okay. So yeah, when it comes to like moms and just that strength that moms have, and because it is like we see this with Fantastic Four with like Sue Storm all the time, how she's like
Strongest.
the heart and soul of the team, but then she's also like the most powerful member of the team and has been. I kind of see a lot of similarities kind of between the two as I'm thinking about it. And so, yeah, it doesn't, I think it's like the more connection that you have, or the more you're afraid to lose that connection, possibly that maybe affects your firepower.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't hate it. I'm curious, to see if Kirkman expands on this. Is there a reason that the daughters are blue, or that his mentors are white? Like, is there a reason behind like the color or the size? Like, do they mean anything, or is it just like Power Rangers, where it's like, okay, just need this to distinguish people from each other? But
So
yeah,
everything you
I
just
enjoyed these.
said,
Yeah.
I want to push back just a little bit. Everything you just said logically is consistent and makes sense, and I don't disagree. Like, why Kelly? She's got more to lose. She's like totally 100%. But however, just because something can be explained and make sense in the story doesn't necessarily mean that that's the best thing for the story. And if we've spent how many ever issues of Firepower showing us that Owen's the hero character, he starts off by himself. Kelly's not even in the picture until after the trade paperback. Only to sort of start taking the back seat in his own book. And we start seeing where it's like, this just came out of nowhere. Like, she didn't even train. She hasn't even trained with Owen. The first time we see her even attempting to do anything, a couple pages later, she's throwing the biggest fireball anyone's ever seen.
Well,
And
remember,
it comes out of left field in a way that feels a little disingenuous. Like, it feels a little unearned.
remember, his kids didn't train for nearly as long as he did, and like he tells Ma Guang, it's not about training for years or going. It's once you crack the code, then boom, you're in. So, and I know this because you have all kinds of different perspectives and all people from all walks of life. Some people get things quicker than others. It doesn't mean that some people are dumber or some people aren't capable. They just learn things differently.
Well, and they also had Owen to like stand on the shoulders of.
That's true. They had like the fire. Well, like all of them did. His mentor, learned how to throw firepower from him.
I get it.
I get it. Thing.
I get it. What I'm saying is logically it makes sense. However, when you look at it from a narrative standpoint, you're asking the audience to not just believe that that could happen. You're asking the audience to believe that that should happen, and that of course naturally the two characters that exceed Owen are both the girls, right? His daughter first, she throws the super hot blue fireballs that Owen can't even do. And then Kelly comes into the picture, and her first thing, she's, this massive fireball that just shocks everybody. And it's just one of those things of like, it's just like, my first reaction as an audience person should not be to groan and go, oh, of course. Right? I'm not
Yeah.
saying that narratively Kirkman doesn't set up the reasons why this could work this way. You explained it just right. The logic works. She's got more to lose. She's worried about her kids. That emotion pours out. I 100% agree. But the
Can I
problem
say
is
something?
that, yeah, one sec, RDV, just indulge me 1 sec. Narratively speaking, the purpose of this is not a real world. This is not real. This is fiction. Like Kirkman's writing it to entertain. So his goal when writing it should be me as the reader, you as a reader, already everyone reading it, like how are they digesting it? How are they taking it in? And obviously I don't speak for everybody, but I can only speak for myself, and that's what I'm doing now. My first reaction was like, just roll my, because it's been done so much. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe Kirkman's just a victim of the fact that like we see it over and over and over again in like modern movies and TV shows where these characters are just like, oh look, like Captain Marvel, like oh look, boom, here you have a power. You don't need to you're just the best. You're just boom, you're the super best. We just saw it in the new Secret Invasion. The little girl, she gets the power, she kicks the villain's butt, like practically one punches him. You're just like, oh look, it just I don't want to feel that way. And Firepower, I'm holding to a higher standard because it is such a good book. And I'm probably making it sound like I'm being harsher on it than it is, but it's something that made me just kind of go, oh, really? Now, I could be wrong. Kirkman has surprised me in a number of ways so many times. So I'm also going to be 100% admitting that I don't know where this book's going to go. And maybe next issue is going to turn me around and Kirkman's going to be like, aha, I thought you got 1 minute and then this. But that's where I'm at. And RDV, I know you're wanting to say something, and I just want to get my final statements on the book. The floor is yours.
Are you done bombing Pearl Harbor?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. So we're gonna take a trip down memory lane. We're gonna go back to December 11th. It was a Wednesday. Remember that? I had back in 1991. I had to skip school because or call in sick to school because I had problems with my lungs or something. So I had to go in and have X-ray done. And afterwards, I saw a movie because I was feeling better with my mom. The movie started Dustin Hoffman. I also had Rob Williams, Julie Roberts. It's about Peter Pan. And you're wondering, where am I going with this? Why are you talking about when you were a boy? Because back when I was a boy, this movie, the meaning was, in order for Peter Pan to remember his childhood, in order to do things, he had to think of his happy place. And it kind of feels like the fireball is kind of like, think of your happy place, and you're able to fly. And this thing, think of what you want the most, and you're able to do the fireball. And she wants the most to protect her kids and her family. And that's why she has a bigger fireball, because she's the mother, her personal feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if that's where they're going with this, if this is a callback to Hook, or just that trope, because maybe he watched Hook when he was younger. I don't even know how old Robert Kirkman is.
Mm-hmm.
He could be right around my age, and maybe he's like, oh my gosh, I'll just do this. Or it's because he's just seen so many movies, or it's been in there. He's like, well, it's not a big deal. It's the story that matters, not this little part.
Mm-hmm.
Kirkman is 44. So maybe he was a fan of this, and that's why he threw it in there. But it kind of does cheapen it a little bit, the fact that now anybody can do it. I
don't mind that she can do it. I don't mind that she can do it, and I don't even necessarily mind that.
Well, no,
that
how she's able to do it, though.
That she can concoct this huge fireball, because, like Zach said, it's like logistically it makes sense logically. What the things he said. What's bothering me is just the way that it happened. Like it kind of just came out of nowhere, and
sure.
Instead of me going, oh, this has been building up for some time, and like, oh yes, finally, like it's more of like, oh, of course, a groaning, rolling my eyes, of course,
at the expense of the other guy, making him look a fool.
And again, what you're saying about her like caring about her family and that emotion is that okay, conversely, what does that say about Owen? That he doesn't care about his family as much?
And this is where I'm saying you digress. Is this the kinks coming out here in Kirkman's writing now? It's showing in his writing now. Is he going to start adding a little bit of virtue signaling in? And I hope that's not the case because Kirkman's one of the guys you go to outside of Marvel DC, and I hope he's not doing this just because he wants to appease. Well, maybe this can get a show too if I do this. Because remember, I if you ever were to continue Invincible, I'm afraid what that's going to look like. I hope he's just saying all talk and just saying what he needs to say in order to get it on Amazon Prime.
I don't want to. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to diverge.
I'm saying it's all speculation right now.
Sure.
At this point,
and I don't want to. I don't want to run the risk of devolving. That's the word I'm looking for, into like some sort of misogynistic content. It's not about not wanting women to be awesome. Like I think it's kind of cool that the daughter was successful, but it kind of felt like the daughter had a progression track that we kind of got to watch happen more. Kelly comes out of.
I think you're.
Yes, exactly. This is Rey Skywalker.
I think you're focusing too much on the daughter and not enough on she is the older of the two. I think that might have a part to play too, because she is the older one.
Yeah.
And typically, the older one is going to be better or more experienced. Typically, I'm saying this as the oldest of three.
No, I was actually using the daughter to say like it made more sense, and we got to see her have a progression.
Oh, okay.
She didn't like have like one day where she's like, "Oh, I'm just going to start training Dad," and then 2 panels later she's throwing fireballs. Like that didn't happen.
It's kind of like like I said, I keep going back to this. Well, Dragon Ball Z Gohan was stronger at Goku for a while. In one of the seasons, he had to go up against Cell.
Yeah. What I'm saying is I want it to be earned. I want to ride the journey with Kelly, and then when she has this moment, I can cheer for her and be like, yes, finally. Like conversely, my favorite character, the Master, we got to watch his struggles from the beginning. You go back to that original trade, and he's staying up all night and he's throwing punches on the statue, right? And he's trying to throw a fireball. And the guy's like 80 years old and he's never been able to do it. And finally, in this issue, when he's finally able to last issue, when he's able to throw a fireball, we're like, yes! Like, there's that feeling of like, you finally got it. And then the next issue, Kelly tries one time and gets it. You know what I'm saying? It just felt cheap. And it felt cliche.
Very, very cheap. The fact it's like only one issue where I love the fact when they have time to actually show with the daughter progressing. She started off and it went away, but then as she got better and better, then the brother. Now, I love the fact that his is a different kind of fireball. It's not like all the same. Like his is more dense. Hers is a bigger flame, but his is more of a packed with than his daughter's. So it caught him off guard. Mm-hmm. I wonder though if how I'm just saying I have faith in Kirkman. If there's been another writer, he would have his wife being the one that destroys the dragon.
Yeah, I don't want to overdo this because I know it can very much sound like I'm just trashing on the book, and I'm really not. This is coming out of love. I respect Robert Kirkman. I love Firepower. I'm a big fan of it, and so my criticism sounds harsh because I'm really invested.
Well, the thing is, the other thing too, we're so used to seeing how the woman like in this issue. When I first read this, I was pissed. Like, wow, she's just kind of stuck up and just kind of giving the cold shoulder and stuff. Like, we're just playing house here. Like, other people are dying. We're supposed to have fun. It's like, and then at the end she does this. I'm like, we've seen this so many times in other books that are woke. So, but my point is that I'm happy it's here and not at the end. It's where at the minute it's like, Owen's about to die, and then she kills the dragon and pulls need a hand. That's what I care.
That's honestly kind of the crux of ultimately my biggest complaint is more of like it's not so much these other characters getting powers and things like that. It's about where does this leave Owen? Like I feel like he's kind of falling back in the shadows of his own book. He's had this character journey to like learn the firepower, and now the dragon's awakened and all of a sudden, and now it's like, yeah, we don't need you anymore, Owen. What do you add to the book?
That's true. It just everybody having firepower now, it cheapens him now.
Right. And he's not even the most. It'd be different if they were like his half of his power and he's the master. They're like eclipsing him.
Going back to Dragon Ball Z, Goku keeps increasing his power level. And I hope Owen does that.
Or something. Just give him a point of value to where this story couldn't go on without him. He doesn't have to be the most powerful. I don't care about that. But if he's the star character, he needs to not
Right.
be in the shadows. I don't know. Again, I could be just jumping to conclusions or, being hypersensitive. I do like the book. I did enjoy this book. I don't hate the book. I'm just being transparent. I mean, we're talking about the comics. I got to point out the things when they do. I'm not going to just pretend they didn't affect me in a non-positive way. But
Well,
I'm
can you pretend that it didn't, and just move on to the next book?
sure. Zach, you got any final comments before we go on the next book?
I have no final thoughts. I am about to go crack open a cold one though, because man, God, if we're going to the finale that I think we're going to, oof. This was a good issue though. I did enjoy this. You know, I kind of didn't have all the emotional pack of the last issue, but I think that not every issue needs to be like that. This was a nice one. It wasn't one of the better ones, but I certainly isn't nowhere near one of the worst ones either.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even know if there is such a thing as a worse issue.
No,
or
Firepower's a
bad
great
issue of
series.
Firepower.
No one
Yeah.
listening to this should think, "Oh, the book's going downhill" or anything. It's just, it's good. I'm
Yeah.
eagerly looking forward to the next issue. So,
This one, I gotta say the opposite. I can't take the heartbreak anymore.
all right.
Oh
Are you
my
were you just making a statement, Zach, or do you really need to crack a cold one?
No, I really don't. I'm not cracking a cold
Okay.
one. Man, golly day though, man. This book threw so many theories that I had out the window. Mark, what are you doing to me, man?
Well, the biggest
This
thing it says, the biggest hint that I got for this book before even read it was Mark talking about how there's so many multiverse he wants to clean up, and knowing Nemesis never loses. He just kills everyone in his path. But the thing is that I was talking to Brian about this. I was like, I really don't. They hope they don't cheapen by killing everybody off and then bringing them all back, kind of like in the New Order,
Magic
Magic
Order.
Magic Order. I really hope it's something like that where everybody dies to show all these epic kills just to reset everything.
yeah, that would be a little yeah.
But it's only 5. This is only issue 2 of 5, though.
Yeah.
Is it 5 or 6?
It says on there. It says on there 5.
Oh, okay.
2 of 5.
Unless
yeah.
they add a 0.
Well, the 5th issue could be a double size like they did with Nightclub.
Sure.
We don't know. We
yeah,
don't know.
Probably.
Actually, Nightclub is next issue. But
So this book. Okay, first of all, I just gotta say, if you're not reading
Hey,
Big
girl.
Game, this might be the best. Okay, I'm not gonna say it's the best comic on the shelf because there's another comic I do think is actually better than this. But as far as like superhero books go, capes books, this is the best. This book is amazing. And as far as crossovers go, I can't remember there was the last time there was a crossover book that I read that gave me this sort of like goosebump, like this sort of like this giddy feeling, if you will. Like I'm going all the way back to like when Infinity Gauntlet came out. Like it's been that long that I've had that level of like, oh my goodness, like this is I feel like it's that exciting.
Okay.
There's been billions and billions of crossovers since Infinity Gauntlet, and I don't think anything has captured that magic. And if I'm being truthful, even this book's probably not capturing the magic of Infinity Gauntlet, but damn is it doing a good job. Like, that's high marks. The art in this book, Pepe Larraz, is it Pepe? Yeah, Pepe Larraz.
Pepe, yeah,
he
is
awesome. This guy just gets better and better.
I'm not really a fan of the cross. This is a weird kind of crosshatch with dots. You know,
it's called either duotone or zipatone.
Yeah.
If Marania's still in the chat, she can probably clarify that.
But I want to take this time to point out that I was right. This is not Hit Girl.
You are right. It's not Hit Girl.
Woo-hoo.
You are right.
But the 2 on there, I'm having a person that never read the book before was surprised. Oh, I was like, oh, that's who that is. I'll let you get to it.
So we open up with I forget their exact names, but this is the Chrononauts. And if you haven't read Chrononauts, you really should. It's a really good book.
That's the one with Sean Gordon Murphy's art.
Yeah, it's the Dude Bros time travel comic. It's super fun. I think Zach could be right up your alley.
I have it. I have the trade.
Yeah.
At least the first one.
Oh, yeah, that's the only one I've read. I haven't read the second one. I need to, but yeah, you will dig it. You should read the trade when you have time. So we see the Chrononauts, and he's like, "Wait, what did you say?" And then we got Edison Crane, which is the Prodigy. He's basically Mr. Terrific, as Mr. Terrific should be, in my opinion.
Who she is,
We don't know who
That's the
she
thing,
is. We don't. I'm wondering if that's Hit
Yep.
Girl's mother. That's my new theory, but we'll get to that.
Ooh, interesting theory.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get to that. So Crane's talking to the Dude Bros from saying, I said that the world is secretly ruled by supervillains and has been so the case since 1986. And so he's like, what? They're revealing it. Oh, look at the detail here in this time with the Stargate hangar. That's what it looks like.
Right.
And they're like, what? And of course, they're not buying it. It's like, are we buying this? I'm not sure. You were saying, so the whole point of getting with these guys is they want to go back in time. And Edison is like, he's told the story by this mysterious girl who's not Hit Girl, but he's the smartest man on the planet. Like, and he's like, I should know this. Edison should also know how to time travel, but that's a different. I'm gonna digress. I'm not gonna go there. So,
Can I make a guess here, real quick?
Yeah.
About the girl. I think that they're never gonna reveal her name, but she's supposed to be Barbara Gordon.
Nah.
Because what happens in the next couple pages.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that. So Edison's not 100% sure. So his idea is like, I'm gonna use these guys. I'm gonna go back in time, and I'm gonna see for myself, because everything's adding up. But I just need. So that's kind of his point. So I'm gonna go back to 1985, and I like this because Mark is a smart writer, and I, as a reader of his books, go, wait a second, Mark, time out. These books were not written initially to fit together in a shared universe. So some of these things don't fit. They don't make sense when you're trying to cram it. And he knows that, and he takes that into consideration as he's writing, because I'm just like, why wouldn't this or that? And so, like, because my first thought was like, why don't the Chrononauts just go back and they explain it? They haven't time traveled in however many years because it cost exorbitant amounts of money. They explain like that their operation is controlled by NASA, and like in their last time travel trip, they spent more money than like the entire U.S. space program, blah, 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 blah.
Which makes sense if you look at how much it costs to like run a satellite or something.
Sure.
Makes a lot.
But I like that it's not just like nilly-willy, like, let's just go back in time. Like, they're just like, look, we're just two dude bros. Like, we can't. And so he's like, we're applying now for private grants, but even 5 minutes in 1985 would cost us over $10 million. To which Edison is like, already in your bank account, doctor. I did a cost analysis before we got here, and I arranged a transfer while we were talking. And he's like, are you seriously that rich? Even richer. Do you mind if I call you Edison? I love the shit-eating grin here.
You know what it reminds me of? Spider-Man. He's like, and talking to Tony, who's recruiting for Civil War. He's like, we'll pay you. Oh, dear God, thank you. It's okay.
And so they all suit up, and they're ready to go through the Stargate. And they only have 300 seconds to operate. And I just love the time constraints. The original book didn't have any of that because, again, it wasn't written for that intention. But Mark puts on these things to explain, like, why hasn't this been done before? And it's really cool because everything you come up as a reader going, wait, okay. He's taken that in consideration. So bravo, Mark, to how you've linked these things together in a mostly plausible way. And so they go through the gate, and they show up in New York, 1986. And this is where the book grabbed me by the balls
Daily Planet,
and made me just giddy as a little schoolboy. And they're talking about various things like, oh, look, it looks mostly the same except people are walking around, the car's different, no one has cell phones, like they're just and they
Casio.
look up and they're like, he's like, where are you going? He's like, I'm going where he works. And he's like, I'm hoping he's in the office today. And I'm just thinking, like, who's she talking about? And you look up and you see, and like, oh, that looks kind of familiar. What is that? And you look, and she's like, "Oh, it wasn't even called New York back in the old days." And I was like, "Ding, ding, ding, Metropolis."
Yes. Yep.
And I was like, flip back the page. That's the Daily Planet. And then I knew. And she's like, looks over there. Do you know what that is? And even Edison Crane's like, no, to a telephone booth, right? Because that's how old they are. And he's like, this is where he
Mhm.
used to get changed for emergencies. And I was like, yes.
Yes.
What the hell? And
Yep.
he looks up and there's a giant robot all of a sudden attacking the city. And she's like, I don't think we're going to see him in the office now, but he'll be out here in a second to sort this out. And then the dude bros are like, I'm sorry, ma'am. We're going to have to, we're almost out of time. And she just grins. Wait, he'll
As I
be
said,
here.
as I said,
He'll be here in a second. And then it's like, oh my God. Dun, 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 dun,
and as
dun.
I was explaining this to Breen on our Thursday thing, it said that's clearly Superman. He first goes, "Well, you sure that's not the guy from Jupiter Legacy?" No, or like, no, it's not. That is Superman, Daily Planet telephone thing. And I'm saying she's Barbara Gordon. They just haven't noticed. They haven't just said it though, because they can't. They can't.
Well,
I
they do give
really
her a
don't
name.
think
She
she's
has a
Barbara
name.
Gordon.
Her name's Griffin.
They said she said the guy I work with, his little team. He trained his little family, little team to work well together.
No, you're right. She
Yeah.
could be Batgirl. I'm the equivalent. Although I think Hit Girl was kind of Batgirl, so that's why I kind of thought.
Well,
Hold
until
on, we're putting the cart before the horse. I just like, isn't he something? And he launches the thing
Takes
into
his
outer
face.
space. Look at that shot
Yep.
too. Just and then Edison looks over, Miss Griffin, can I just say how sorry I am for everything that you've been through? I can't imagine how I've been like carrying this around all these years. I have to admit, it's been a lonely road, but I had to wait until I had some good allies. And so now Edison is convinced. They go back to the present. And wait, there's dead bodies. What the hell? And then everyone dies. So,
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for nothing.
So I want to point out, I love the fact that Mark's able to do this because Mark drew Superman Adventures back in the day. He did a volume 2 on that for DC. And so when he draws like stuff like I said, he really loves Superman. He really loves the DC universe. Is that he's just like us.
Yep.
He's like he hates what he has no control over it. That's why he will not work over there.
Yep.
He might in the future, but I think Miss Griffin was a fake name because she's hiding out.
Okay. But let's talk about the part that you're going to keep us on a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
He's stuck on that theory.
I'm just saying, it's like this pissed me off because Prodigy, the most smartest man, comes back and immediately gets blown away. So
Yeah.
this is my theory though, because if Mark lets these guys die, and it sucks.
Now,
But
Mark
if he
said
if it brings them back though through time travel, because the thing, if Hit Girl gets a hold of this, whatever.
Let's focus on the scene. Let's.
Yeah, I know what scene is.
You're taking us down all these rabbit holes that just get us going on for eons. I'm not upset at you. I just really want to not have a 4-hour stream on this.
I'll never take you down Elon's.
What did you just taking these 10 pages as they are? What are your thoughts?
I was bored
at this point?
I was bored with this, the Chronons. I was like, okay, cool. Now they're introducing time travel, and I was like, this could be a MacGuffin, or this could be how they solve everything towards the end.
We're bored. Oh man!
Until they go back in time to the Daily Planet, and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And then as soon as you get there, it's like a gut punch that and then a swick kick to the balls. It's like it's just like here, like, hey, look, Marvel's getting better, and remember, yeah, we're not doing that shit anymore.
Zach.
No, oh God, I have to disagree with this so hard. This is a completely different. No, when Marvel sucks, it's because they get bad storytelling and politics injecting stuff. This is not bad storytelling.
I didn't say that though. I was just saying that's just how I feel with modern comics. But it's like get your hopes
you
up.
You shouldn't though, because this is entirely different. This is good. Like this is a shock. That yeah, it sucks because it's like
I got whiplash
and
emotions.
It's like oh my. Well, now Mark has said most of his stories he doesn't see any creative way for them to carry on. He said this like prior to issue 1 coming out, is that a bunch of his characters are going to end up dying. So, I mean, that part, I knew there were going to be deaths. I did not realize that they would be occurring
Brutal?
this early. No, brutal. No, this is Mark Millar. Of
This is the
course they're gonna be
boys, man.
brutal.
This one's the
Uh,
boys.
But so I wasn't expecting it to happen just this out of nowhere. And also, I mean, okay, so Chrononauts are dead. Okay, so obviously Mark's done all that he wants to do, or all he can think of doing with the time travel element. That's cool. Prodigy, though, I was like, man, because this is, like you said, he's supposed to be like the world's smartest dude. And so that one was kind of like, well, that threw me for a loop. This Bobby Griffin chick, I'm not sure where I stand on her. I don't go with Vinkman's theory. I don't think she's an alternate Barbara Gordon or anything like that. I think she's something else. Probably will have more meaning in the story as it goes on. I'm kind of intrigued by your whole Hit Girl's mom theory, but yeah, that was. And the thing is, this isn't even the most brutal part of the book, y'all. This is like halfway. But golly, yeah, I was kind of, it's kind of a bummer because I like the Chrononauts and I was liking what I read of Edison. But yeah, we come to see just how far the fraternity has come. Now, I did think in the back of my head, it could be like Magic Order, where like at the very end, the girl showed up and like, hey, my whole family, they're not dead after all. But I don't think that'll be the case here because Mark has said that a lot of his characters are going to be dying by the end of this.
Sure, dying, but doesn't mean they can't be resurrected or brought back through changing the timeline.
No, but Mark has said he would kill them because he can't think of any original or any like creative storytelling to do with most of them. I think he said like a couple of them might live because he has a few ideas left, but for the most part, it sounds like with most of these characters, he did what he wanted to, and he doesn't see a creative reason to keep them around.
Like I said, he could kill them all, bring them all back in life, but just never do anything with the books.
Yeah, I don't think he would do that.
What would be the point of bringing it back to life if you're not going to do anything with them? That just cheapens it.
Exactly. Yeah.
My thing, one of it's all one giant smoke show. Maybe he wants you to think that, and he brings them back.
Okay, but either way, none of that is anything to do with the actual story of the moment that we're in.
So I thought this was Nemesis at first, that blowing him away. I was like, dang, because I'm used to Nemesis just being like the one step of everybody.
Right. Well, you're cutting your head. It's like
well, no, right for right here. So
okay.
At this point, I didn't know who it was.
Okay, so you guys had your chance. I think this is the best 10 pages in comics I've read for superhero books in a long time. I was floored. First of all, the art, exquisite. Look at this. Look at the detail that he takes to draw this hanger.
The art is great.
Not the bubbles.
You know what?
Yeah, the dots, as Marani pointed out.
What are you talking about? Your favorite era is like the 80s when this was all being used.
No, and she said, as Marani pointed out, this you consider a bad thing back in the day. It happens when you misalign the tone film. I didn't like the dot stuff in the background. You can see the crosshairs. Like I prefer just normal. Yeah.
No, this is how shading was done back in the 4-color era. Which I believe
I gotta be real.
Was on
that is not something that even entered my mind. I was too busy looking at the Batcave.
Well, yeah, that part, yeah. It's just I didn't like the dot stuff, Otherwise, the art was good. It's just, but I just don't care for the crosshatch dots.
Yeah, this is obviously not a misaligning of the tones. This is digital art, so this is purposeful zip-a-tone. I guess it's a subjective thing. I guess I don't have a problem with it. This is how I grew up with comics. To me, it's kind of nostalgic, especially since the comic goes back to the 80s.
Maybe because it's blown up. That's why you notice it more.
Well, that is possibly true. But I mean, if you're reading a comic in the 80s, if you go back and read your John Byrne Superman, you're going to see this stuff. Like,
no, it wasn't like this.
Not exactly like this, but you are going to see, because they only had 4 colors to work with. And so in order to shade things like that, oftentimes you would use this to create graduations of the colors. Anyways, I don't want to get on a big old, go in the weeds on that. I love the art. Like I said, revisiting these characters. Obviously, if you haven't read these characters before, you're probably not going to be invested in them. So I can understand that. I have read them. I did like these characters. I do like all of them. Going back in time, coming to here, the Superman thing just perfectly executed. Again, obviously, Miller's got to like walk on his tippy toes because it's
Shout out to Gil Kane.
the tippy toes to the Gil Kane, nice. The tippy toes, because this is really close to like violating, trademark infringement and stuff.
It is. Yes.
So he's got, and of course, Miller's not just some random independent artist with a few bucks. He's like Netflix could be held, accountable, but he does it in a way that like just enough way to the audience can catch it, but not so clearly stamping it that you're like, I think he executes it perfectly. I love the expression of this character, the Griffin character, just like, don't worry, like he'll be here any second. Like her admiration for him as a hero is kind of like our window into
She might
how
have been a kid back then.
how the people saw how the people see Superman. I love that. And it's just great. And then coming through here, yes, it's not pleasant to see the characters you love get gunned down and murdered. But in the hands of a skilled writer that you just trust, to me, this is like epic. This is like if this was Tom King writing the book, or I don't know, just anyone, T. Franklin or something, I would just be like, whatever, close the book. Like, but I trust Miller. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what the heck? Like, I'm not about to abandon the story here, so I'm in on it.
Neither am I. Like I said, this kind of had the same kind of feelings up and down roller coaster, kind of like The Boys was.
Yeah. So, I could see the Chrononauts getting killed, as far as like, I'm not going to do a story with them. But Prodigy, that's where I was like, and this Griffin character, who's like clearly the person who's putting all the team together, like, and she's introduced in this book, she's dead. I'm like, what's going on? So moving along, we see the attack team. They're like, hold your fire, and they're reporting back in. Mr. Gibson, this is Alpha Team 1 at Chrononauts. 4 marks have been executed, waiting for their orders. And so they're reporting in. I'm not sure who this guy is, but he just says, like, 37 years we've been after Bobby Griffin. So that's the girl heard. So even he knows her by that name. So it could be a fake name still, but that's what she's called. And then he says, Hit Girl next.
The girl on the bottom kind of looks like the Fox.
Yes.
Wanted. I know that. So I mean,
that's probably what's his name?
The guy from Wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wesley.
Wesley. Isn't it Wesley?
Wesley. Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably Wesley.
Yeah. With all the guns hanging out on either side of him. Yeah, I can see that.
It's tough because Mark Miller loves to use all these different artists all the time, and so you can't rely on the same look. So it's probably Wesley. Right. So he's like, it's Bobby Griffin we've been after, and then Hit Girl next. The very fact that Hit Girl is the next target, that's what kind of clued me in. Like, okay, number 1, Bobby Griffin wasn't Hit Girl. Number 2, Hit Girl seems to have some sort of relation to Bobby Griffin. What could that be? Mother, because we know from the stories that we only had father figure, which was
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy, which was a Batman-esque character. Big Daddy.
What?
Yeah, Big Daddy, I mean, looked just like Batman. But we didn't know anything about Mom. Mom's never been explained, never been mentioned. Sure. So my thinking is, could this be the mother then? Because
they did show Wesley's mom, though. Wanted. They did show his mother.
No, I'm not talking about Wesley. I'm talking about Hit Girl's mother.
Yeah.
Hit Girl, we don't know anything about Hit Girl's mother. We just know that she has Big Daddy. Big Daddy's dead.
Yeah.
Obviously, he died before any of this. But we don't know anything. Obviously, she has a mother. Someone gave birth to her. But nothing is ever mentioned. So this girl, Bobby Griffin, who comes out of nowhere, has been hiding in the Batcave for 37 years. Could that be why Hit Girl didn't have a mother? Because this girl's been hiding out? That's my theory.
Or she grew up. She was a kid back then. And that's why she still has a joy, excitement, going back. Remember it's 1985, going back to seeing that. We don't know if there's a sliding time scale like there is a Marvel DC, or maybe she just naturally aged up since that
We
1985.
we do know, and yes, they aged up. It's been exactly real
Yeah,
time
yeah.
in
So
the books. But that woman is clearly older than Hit Girl. So
yeah,
if she grew up in '85, that means that
just
girl would be my age, which would be like 50.
it could just be bad art.
Hit Girl's in the 30s, so she definitely could qualify age-wise to be Hit Girl's mother.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we cut
It's a
over.
reach.
It's not a reach. It's pretty. If Hit Girl's
Oh,
father
all
was
my
a
all my theories are out rabbit holes, but yours is solid.
Why are we talking about theories and not the book? We can have our own theory stream later, guys. I gotta go to bed in like 30 minutes.
I Bankman think this. Sorry.
I do like that we finally get to see Hit Girl though. We
Yeah.
saw Kick Ass in the last issue. And so this also settles something else because I thought the girl that he was talking to in the last issue was Hit Girl, and now
No.
we know that that is not. This clearly is a different girl.
Maybe it's the girl from Kick-Ass too.
Also, she's a comic book nerd, which I like. So that's really fun. And
Oh,
also, we get an introduction to one of my personal favorite Mark
Hey.
Millar characters and books. I was wondering when he was going to show up too.
And look,
But,
she know what Ash likes about this? She drives a Mini Cooper.
damn straight, because Hit Girl's badass. Hit Girl's one of my
It's-
favorite female comic characters. I love Hit Girl.
maybe just Mini Coopers are just meant for women.
Hey, the Cooper S or the Cooper SL, I would drive one of those.
Yeah, you would.
The
They're
large
awesome.
ones,
My
yeah.
favorite.
The Italian
No,
job.
not the
other-
large ones. 2-door coupe.
I'm a 6'2" guy, Ash. I can't fit in the tiny cars.
Yes, you can.
I tower.
Yes, you can. I own a Mini Cooper. I have to move the seat forward. They're more roomy inside than you think.
So Zaka Comics confirms that this is a sleeping stream.
Okay, so
So it's-
we move from this scene where Wesley's talking about Hit Girl being next, and then we cut over into Michigan where apparently Hit Girl is, and they're like, "How do we know she's gonna be here?" Because comic books are released on Wednesdays, and she always buys them the day they come out. So the Hit team is waiting for her at the comic book shop, and they talk about how she's small, but she was trained by her father to be one of the most effective assassins the world has ever known. She spent the last 9 years covering the globe, closing some heavy-duty operation. I say we do as we're told and take her out with a sniper shot. So we cut over, and she's pulling up to the comic book comic book shop, and I love this. Look in the rearview mirror. Someone's got a gun to her. Keep driving, or you're dead. and into the
her
grave.
language, I love it.
What the fuck? Who the hell are you? And then I just had another one of those like fist pumping moments. I was like, Special Agent Gary Unwin, you can call me Eggsy. And I was like, yes!
Eggsy!
Eggsy! It's,
Kingsman, mother.
and so she takes off and he's leading her away so she doesn't get killed. And I was like, thank you, Mark. You killed all these other people. If you kill Hit Girl, I'm never forgiving you. So
Yeah,
This is why I'm confirming that Hit Girl's gonna be the main character of this whole entire series.
I'll be okay with that. Let's go ahead and Zach, anything you want to contribute on
Man,
this?
I'm just happy Kingsman has finally entered the fray. It's like whenever a new Super Smash Brothers game is coming out and they do like the slow reveals of the roster,
Yep.
and it's like, oh, Pikachu has entered the fray, and Luigi. It's like once Kingsman's in, because like, okay, so the movies got me into Kingsman, which some people are like, oh, you only like the movie. No, I got into the books because of the movies, but the movies are a lot of fun, and yeah, I really dug those. I like the comics, and now I like how he's even drawn. I think he's drawn more to look like the actor than I think even in the original comics. The similarities there, which I think is kind of cool. Or it could just be Pepe Larraz taking a little bit of liberty there. But I like the idea of Kingsman teaming up with Hit Girl. I think that's like an assassin dream team. So I'm kind of curious to see if they do like this whole kind of team up style thing.
I'm calling it right now. He's got to sacrifice himself so she can win.
Why you gotta kill off one of my favorite characters? We just had 4 people die. We're about to have more. Find somebody else, Venkman. Get out of here with that negativity. God. Anyway,
it's
Haters gonna hate.
gonna Hit Girl
haters
versus
gonna hate.
Nemesis, and Nemesis loses. Because
But
Hit Girl's
if
badass.
anyone can stop Nemesis, is Hit Girl. Dude, Hit Girl
Yeah.
is dude. When you want to talk about women being badasses, Hit Girl is the one that fits the bill to me. And she
Hit Girl
she
was
was
one of the
she was that
first.
bill at 9 years old.
Yep.
So what I'm thinking is gonna happen though, it'll come down to Hit Girl Nemesis, and this is my final theory for the night, is that in order to get to Hit Girl, they're gonna go after what was his name? His name's Danny. Who's the one
Dave
that's
Dave Lukowski.
Dave. They're gonna go after.
Lukowski, yeah.
They'll use Dave as a hostage.
Oh, they're gonna kill
Eh.
Dave, and then that's gonna make her
Oh.
rage. She's gonna rage.
Yes.
She'll be like, "You."
I still think Dave is gonna have he's gonna have a big shout out down the road. I think he's his time to shine. It's gonna step up, especially considering the ending of this
Yep.
issue.
Yep.
God, the ending.
The ending. Speaking of the ending, here we come.
Mark, you got me
So-
ranting and raving all about this last story you did, Mark, and I'm talking about how great it is. I'm gonna get all the future volumes.
So we cut over to Korea. And what's going on in Korea? Oh yeah, there's what's her name that made all the superheroes called the Ambassadors. You remember them,
Yeah.
right? They just had a whole book
Remember
we covered.
that?
We had right, and so like we get this nice strolling towards the camera shot, and we get some kind of more levity. With like they're like, "Oh, what are you with the girls? I thought you were gay," and he's like, "No, I'm actually pansexual." He's like,
Okay. Sidebar. Australia is my favorite member. It
Dude,
was-
Australia
yeah,
is the
but
bomb. He's the best.
Australia is hysterical.
He's so
'Cause
awesome.
he uses all the buzzwords.
Yep.
He knows how to play all the words and like how to play their feelings and on them and stuff. It's hysterical. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
It's like
I love he
strange-
says like
Strange how you people seem to be experimenting. Sorry, strange how the only people you seem to be experimenting with are attractive women in their late 20s. And then the other person's like, I think he faked the whole gay thing to appeal to the team's diversity policies. I swear I saw him looking at straight porn on his phone. I just love it. You don't see that in comics. Everyone is so afraid to even like mention any of these things, much less have a character that just flaunts it, you know.
and lied to
It's
be
like-
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
Oh.
in reality, it is so easy to do that too. To just like lie and just like tell people what they want to hear. But
Yes.
it's kind of refreshing to see
I-
that.
I
yeah.
get it. It's like you see like the memes where they have the cat with all the dogs. They like you line your application.
Yes. So they're all getting ready to go, and they're all lined up, and it's like, look, we got the powers online. Blip, 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 we're getting to go. And look at the pose, the total superhero pose, badass, right?
I'm Spanish.
Teleport in. Oh man.
Yeah.
And then look, even the boss lady is even with them. Like she's got the whole team. If you've heard him,
Yeah.
I swear to God, dude, Nemesis is like rising the ranks very quickly to be like next to not quite equal, but next to Doctor Doom in like his ultimate. just like there's no messing with him. He's like, you'll do nothing, Korea. Don't make threats you can't back up. Your powers are all artificially generated, and I've got a friend who can steal them for 5 minutes at a time. And guess who he's giving them to? You're just like, oh shit.
And right away she's killed.
Nemesis with all the powers of the ambassadors. Scary. Just you're like, what?
Well, the funny
What?
part, he's got all the guys with their guns. They're useless.
Yes. Yeah. They're just there for show. I've got every power you had access to, and you have literally nothing to fight back with. The expression shooting fish in a barrel comes to mind.
Don't
Downloading
ease my
Heat
son.
Blast. Don't ease my son. Do I look like I give a fuck? You're just like, dude, this is a villain. Holy
It
crap.
is almost hard to read if you're like a guy that's like if you're squeamish or if you don't like if you like seeing good win over evil, this is not the scene. Like this is like
No.
it's almost not fair. It is almost not fair that Mark
This
gave us this amazing story, 6 issues of the Ambassadors, that I enjoyed immensely, and now they're all dead.
So, seeing how Ambassadors just was this period, we got that. Then we just got Nightclub. Nightclub is rumored to be next.
okay. You're jumping. So
I'm trying to go to bed on time. Okay.
that if you're trying to get to
Is that-
bed earlier, extending the conversation is not a way to do it.
I'm skipping ahead so I can go to bed.
So back to the headquarters. What the hell is going on? And there's just panic, and he's just activating every power and just taking everyone out. It's crazy. The Nemesis with all these powers is a scary thing, and I think
Yeah.
Mark is doing a stellar job at setting up an ultimate badass villain. Like, this is how you do it. Like, you got to make him feel unbeatable.
Well, this is Nemesis.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, he this is something that I was like, I got to thinking back, like, on the MCU, and like one thing the MCU just does not do well is none of their villains feel unbeatable. Thanos did for a little bit. There was a time where Thanos felt unbeatable, but since
he
then,
became,
like,
a white boy.
every villain that they put in their stuff, you're just like, oh, I'm waiting for the hero to kick your ass. Like, none of them are just like, how are the hero going to beat this person? This guy is like, he's unstoppable, right? Like, who can take this guy down?
Right.
And he mentions, he's like, okay, clean this mess up, and then we're going after the vampire kids, and then that big dopey idiot from the Midwest. Next, and
Which
like,
is
oh,
that
what should we
that
do with?
guy- Oh, go ahead.
What should we do with this guy, Pakistan? He's like, oh, I almost forgot about him. Ugh.
The guy from the Midwest, is that the Star brand guy? Saw in the very first issue.
I think it might be like
What
the
is-
older
Starlight,
guy.
Starlight.
Yeah, the older guy that was like a sci-fi, like a Buck Rogers type of guy.
Could
right?
be, or it could be Huck, maybe.
Maybe. I guess we'll find out next issue.
We'll find out. But RDV, you go ahead.
Yeah,
And what do you?
like I said, so this really feels like the first Nemesis, in a sense, or when it gets to the part with Nemesis.
Yeah.
The very first series. If you haven't read that, Zach, go read that. And pretty much he wins no matter what. And like I said, there's only one guy who can stop him. There's like a Commissioner Gordon type guy. In this, we haven't seen anybody rising to be a hero. The only thing I can think of is that you're making him such an undefeated person. Right now, you got Hit Girl looking like a school teacher. I'm not getting Hit Girl vibes. She just looks like a nobody. She doesn't give up any bad vibes. She looks like kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. She didn't even see Eggsy behind her in the car. Like I said,
Well,
like
I mean,
I think it just says
to be
Yeah.
fair,
it
Hit
just
Girl in the
explored how
comic.
well trained Kingsman is, though.
yeah.
To be fair, Hit Girl in the comics, when she wasn't being Hit Girl, looked like a little 9-year-old sweetheart.
That's true.
Like,
Sure,
she didn't
sure.
look like a threat.
It's called an alter ego. I
She
mean,
puts on the mask and you freaking run.
Like I
Peter
said,
Parker doesn't look like he can
I'm
lift a car either.
I know, but I'm saying I'm looking at the vote sign on the purse. She looks like your typical like Melissa Benoist Supergirl.
Yes.
You know.
That's kind of the
Yeah.
thing with her. Looks are deceiving.
Melissa Benoist
Yeah.
is cute, though.
This girl's
Wow.
cute.
Yeah.
Zach again saying not all women he like. If he doesn't look like the girl he
Zach
likes,
doesn't like
probably-
blondes. That's
I just said I liked Melissa Benoist. I just said she was cute.
I'm just saying she's kind of got. If you want to really go,
I'm not gonna say Hit Girl is cute because Hit Girl comes on the scene as a 9-year-old, and that's just weird.
in this. Well, she's not considered Hit Woman. In this,
what's her name? Melissa.
Game of Thrones. It's like Game of Thrones when you watch Arya
so
Stark
is
grow
that-
up. It's yeah.
So Zach right now she's got the Michelle Pfeiffer look.
Nope.
Every
She looks
girl,
way
every
cuter than
girl was
Michelle
9
Pfeiffer.
years old
No.
once. Zach.
No.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I knew every girl when they were 9 years old, though.
I'm just saying right now. This is the Michelle Pfeiffer look from Batgirl or Batman #2. Batman Returns. It is.
Nope.
She has
Not at
the
all.
big giant glasses.
Not at all. This girl,
Yes,
this
sure.
Pepe Larraz is way better at drawing her.
You just
than
hate Michelle
looks.
Pfeiffer. You can't accept it.
She's not attractive.
All
Sorry.
right, rein it in. Zach.
But
any-
I'm I'll say this: I am kind of glad the fact that Korea got killed because she was the most annoying character of the Ambassador's book.
Nah, not even.
I
Final
felt,
thoughts.
I felt bad for Boy though.
Final thoughts, man. Jeez. So if you weren't already, this is like what Mark, first he kind of got you in. He was like, oh yeah, crossover. We're gonna show you some kick ass. We're gonna get your nostalgia bug going maybe a little bit, and then this one is just like pull the rug out from under your feet, and you're gonna fall on a pile of nails or something that's gonna shock you awake. Yeah, this was a shocking issue. It definitely has got me curious, wondering like what's gonna happen, like where are things gonna go from here, because we lost 4 characters and then all the ambassadors, like that's what 10 or 11 characters. So I mean that's already a big body count right there. I mean, Lord knows before this is over, who else is going to be at. I still think he's going to end up killing a ton of his characters off. I'm not sure who's going to be left standing. But man, and then Pepe Larraz's art in this has been great. I think, and I love Chris Samney. Y'all know I love Chris Samney. But I think Pepe Larraz, out of the 3 books that we've talked about, I think Pepe's art has been my favorite art of all these past 3 books that we've talked about tonight.
There is something we passed up with Eggsy says to her. To Hit Girl, and he says like he says right there, I work for planned another next 24 hours. But he says like a number of high profile assassinations. Only I can't what he says there because he said. What does it say?
He says, I work for an independent British spy organization, and we just received intel about a number of high-profile assassinations being planned over the next 24 hours. The only one we were able to decode was you, and so I'm here to warn you.
I wonder how many there actually was, because he gives the exact number. But if you know everyone is going to be just thrown into this book of all his wanted characters, or not just wanted, but who's next? What comic book is next?
Mm-hmm. Well, we know what comic is next because we get previews. On sale September 20th, 6 days before my birthday.
So who's the big guy on the left though? That is
I'm guessing that's Huck.
Okay, I've never read that. But also, you also know who's missing?
Yep.
Yeah, Zach, you notice?
Well, remember who went off to form his own gang?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh boy.
So
what's his name? Yeah, big jealous kid, yeah.
Yeah. So this is gonna be interesting, man. I'm on for the ride. I'm not gonna try to pose anyone that this is like the greatest comic I ever read, but it was super fun. This is the sort of thing I love.
One of the
funnest like capes books I've read in quite a long time. This is what I love about comics. That sense of excitement, that sense of thrill, and just being like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And just having fun with it. I definitely can get on the art snob kind of bandwagon on different books sometimes, and that's a lot of kind of what I'm reading these days. Sometimes it being the more artsy kind of independent books. But this is my love. This is what I want. This is how I remember Marvel as a kid. This is what I got out of it, and I just kudos to Mark Millar. I think it's one of the reasons I'm a big fan of his work, because he knows how to bring excitement. Maybe not every book he does is a home run. I mean, that's hard to do, but he always delivers a bang for your buck, right? Even my least favorite, books of his that he puts out are still entertaining. And sometimes they grow on me. Like the first Prodigy series came out and I was like, oh, okay, it was fine. But then I was just like, I read the second series and went back and read the first again. And I was like, oh, this is actually kind of better than I remember. And so I'm into it, man. I think this is fantastic. If you like Capes books, the fact that this is now a shared universe, I think is what's adding a lot of the excitement, because I liked a lot of these stories already, but now putting them and saying, what, they exist in the same world? Oh man. Like I don't need Marvel or DC. Mark, like, just make this your shared universe. Start hiring, you've got the best artists in the business doing work for you. Bring on some of the best writers. You don't have to write everything, write the initial books, and when you're done with them, instead of killing the characters,
Bring in Chuck Dixon.
bring in Chuck Dixon, bring in Scott Snyder, bring in trying to think of some writers.
Danny Warren Johnson.
Sean Gordon Murphy.
Well, Danny Warren Johnson's busy over Transformers
I
right
don't
now.
care. We want him now.
But yeah, I mean, take some of that big time. Like, dude, Netflix comics, let's do it.
And have Travis Charest do some more art.
Yeah, that'll be hard. He's real slow and expensive, and but I
Well,
don't
he'd just
disagree
do
with you.
He would just do 6-issue, events like this. He has like 2 years to get it done.
If they got him to do one issue, that was pretty impressive. But so yeah, I mean, what's his name? Oh shoot, who was the artist that used to be the Spawn guy? Did the Batman with Scott Snyder?
Tony S. Daniel?
Capullo.
Yes.
Capullo.
Capullo's
Honestly,
not doing
you know what I
anything. Like,
know what I
get him
want
on a
back?
book.
Put Steve McNiven back on a book.
Yeah, Steve
He
McNiven on a
he
book.
did the first. He did the first Nemesis with Mark.
Yep, Steve McNiven would be a fine choice. I mean, there's big names.
What's the other one? The one that just did Sarah with Garth Ennis.
Oh yes.
I forget what his name is, but
yeah, I know who you're talking about. That
Epting.
Yeah, Steve Epting.
Yeah. All these artists that are no longer in the business because the wages suck, they don't get royalties. If you can pay them better in the books like this, create popularity, you're able to pay them more. It's you're able to do it though. Like I said, like a lot of these guys might just have fun, just being able to hang out and just do comics. Because you listen to the interview with Mark Millar, he is just a kid at heart, just like Kirkman.
Yep. He's a kid at heart.
He's not. Yeah. And that's what you want. That's kind of what Stan Lee kind of was too. He was a big kid at heart too.
Yep.
He was always promoting the stuff.
Yep. He cares more about the comic than the business side. Like, he's in it because he loves the comics. He loves telling stories. He's not in it to just. I mean, he's already got his money. He's he sold his business to Netflix.
And
he makes the comics for fun now.
So who'd be even more to have fun in is bring in Kari Andrews. You saw who he did with Erratic.
Oh.
And having him do some more kid stuff, having him do a run at a nightclub.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, for sure.
It sucks. It sucks because AWA. Remember, they were we're gonna world build. No, they're not.
I don't know what AWA is doing, but
but Mark Millar can world build. And man, Nemesis is the difference between this and Nemesis Reloaded, and just Nemesis in general, is that you're gonna have a hero, finally rise up against Nemesis.
Are you?
And I think they're actually gonna win.
Are you? I don't know.
Because
I don't know.
In Nemesis Reloaded, he won. In the original Nemesis, he lost. So I think so. I think because I think Hit Girl will survive, and I don't honestly I do think they're gonna bring back everybody through time travel with the Chrononauts thing.
Oh, I don't think so. I think that's cheap.
It could be, like I said, it could be it could.
Plus, the Chrononauts are dead. Chrononauts are dead, so he took that off the table.
That's true.
Yeah, but was the machine destroyed?
Well, the guy knows how to use it, the inventor.
There might be. Maybe Nemesis will want
to
bring back the heroes.
Not to mention, there's the exorbitant expense to use it. They killed the man who could finance it.
Plot twist: Nemesis goes back in time, slaughtered all the villains at the end of it, so he could just be the champion, and live.
I don't think they're gonna kill Nemesis. I think Nemesis is like a Doctor Doom type character. He's just the ultimate Nemesis that can't be defeated. The only thing you can hope to do is thwart him for a time.
And that's what I think is going to happen. I think that it's going to come down to Nemesis and Hit Girl, and maybe Nemesis it involves time travel. Maybe they do go through time. It'd be fun. Like
no time travel. No.
But remember, Nemesis wants a challenge. He hates being bored. He likes so. Remember we were talking about he's gonna turn on the villains.
That was my theory.
What?
Like I was like, I think that'd be
Yeah.
a fun story. There's no more heroes, so then there's no one to keep the villains in check, and then the villains are off
So-
doing all stuff, and then Nemesis gets bored, and he's like, I got no one to fight. I guess I'll fight you guys. Just not because I'm a hero, because I'm just bored
Yeah.
and I want a challenge.
So at the end of this, he wins. He just goes back in time to kill the villains and the heroes himself back then. You know.
I don't know, man. I know Mark's got something up his sleeve. It sounds like this project was a big, like it's not something just off the cuff he came up with. Like it sounds like he was really been thinking about this for a while. So I'm sure he's got an ending and planned. This is a big landing to stick. Like
I can't wait
Nightclub wasn't asking too heavy to land. Even Nemesis Reloaded wasn't asking for too big of a thing. This is a project that's like, ooh, how are you gonna land this and make it feel right? I'm curious, but I'm along for the ride, man. I've got to tell you, like, there's only a couple comics that come out, and I'm just like, I gotta read this, and this is now one of them. The first issue was good. I enjoyed it. The second one now, it's like it's got me full hooked in.
Well, the only ones we know that's gonna survive is the Nightclub, but I think everyone else.
We don't know that. We
Wait,
don't know that at all.
No, because they said Nightclub is continuing.
Yeah, so they said the same thing about Ambassadors.
Yep, and they also said about Prodigy.
So my theory is standing correct. They're gonna use time travel to bring everybody back.
I don't think so.
I think so.
Or what you saw isn't what you think you saw isn't actually what you saw. That's my theory.
Yeah.
Especially with the whole Edison Crane thing, the dude is super, super smart and thinks about everything. And so my thought, like, I was kind of with Zach.
Well,
I was
like-
like, whoa, like he's
like-
dead? Like, wait, what? I'm
Like, you
more
think it's
thinking
like-
like Edison thought of this already, and like
we're
had
also-
a contingency
what, like-
plan.
So
Like,
we're
what,
also
like he leaves a note for like his future self, like in 1985. And
there.
so, like,
Yes, something like that.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. So there is one major thing we're passing up. Korea cloned herself.
yep.
that's
That's
true too.
Yep, she's this is not the first time she's died. In other words, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yep.
That is also
So
true.
saying, she could bring back herself, and then maybe some of the others, if they had their DNA, whatever, transfer it onto something else, copy it back up. Because remember, what's his name was in a car accident or got shot up. It was really bad damage.
India, yeah.
India,
India
yeah.
did, yeah.
So what if at the end of this, it's like they're back and they help Hit Girl?
Maybe. Could possibly happen. I think personally, or what I would like to see happen is, okay, so all the old ambassadors are dead, and so it kind of has to become like kind of like, oh, Ash, you correct me if I'm wrong, but like when all like the main X-Men, like they thought they were dead or wiped out, and so like Excalibur was formed. It's like, okay, all the old ambassadors are dead, so now they have like a new team, and Dave Litzkowski, Kick-Ass, is gonna like rise up and be like the new interim leader or whatever. Maybe Korea, has a clone body, but he rises up and he becomes like the new ambassador, or like America.
Yes.
So
That would be
And
really cool.
he
That would be something
and
I
he
would
had-
write where Korea comes back. There was a clone body. She reforms, but her whole team is dead. But she reads that letter from Dave, and she
She's
kind of
like,
looks
"You
like,
were
"Who
the
is this
first."
kid?" And she like looks, and then she goes and like reviews and says like sees how he was fighting crime, even when he didn't have powers. And the thing about Kick-Ass is that dude took a beating. Like he would face
yeah,
threats and she's like, this is what we need. Like, and she like brings him on and makes him America, and gives him access all 42 powers. Like, so he truly becomes Kick-Ass in truth, not just, like that would be such an amazing story to see Dave Lukowski actually be Kick-Ass, like, because he really, what I'm saying? Like, he really would kick ass.
Right.
I'd be all on board for that. Like, let's do it, Mark. I hope Mark's in a similar mindset to that, like, or something better. But that's how I would do it. I would just turn Dave Lukowski up to 11 and just be like, let's go for it. We've already told the Kick-Ass stories, right? Those are all done. So why not? Why not do this stuff? You know, if you're gonna kill the characters off anyway, why not do something absurd and crazy with it? And I would just love to see Dave Lukowski get the powers he always dreamed of.
He has the power. He has all the powers at once because he can't feel pain. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, this definitely. I think when December comes around and we're looking back on the comics of the year, this is definitely going to be one of my top 5, if not top 3, if not number 1 comic of the year.
All matters where it sticks to like the landing for me. Where it's at right
landing,
now,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's primo. I'm in it. I'm biting my nails. I am enjoying it, stuffing popcorn down my face. But
Yep.
you know, I was that way with Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds too, and then that horrible ending made me.
Yikes.
So, but man, that first act in War of the Worlds was amazing.
Never seen it.
Oh well, you're not missing much except the first act. First act is really cool.
It's just Tom Cruise running, and he can't run.
Oh, it's a lot more than
Tom
that.
Cruise can't run?
Have you seen how he runs?
That's all he does is run.
I'm just saying, he does not run like a normal person. He runs really weird.
Everybody runs weird if you look at them long enough.
Oh, Zach. We're not looking at you. We're not looking at you running.
People who are not pro athletes, who is what we typically watch run, tend to not measure up to our image of running, which is pro athletes, and then we go, "Oh, you run weird."
Even pro athletes, some of them run weird.
I'm just saying, look at other actors where they're running in the movies, and then look at Tom Cruise and every single one of his. It's like, what the hell?
I'm just impressed. The dude can run at 60 years old or whatever he's at, and he can run. Whatever.
He can look however he wants to. If he's running that fast, that far at that age, he can run however he wants to.
Yeah, I've never had any problem with Tom Cruise's running.
I just said once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like, oh, what the heck?
Tom Cruise runs for the establishment. I don't know what that means. Guys, thank you for joining us. I know it was a long show. I promise you, we are somewhat trying to rein it in. This was 3 comics, but we like comics. Hopefully, you like comics. I think all 3 of these were winners today. What do you guys think? Any losers?
Facts on facts. All 3 of these were great. Actually, this last week at the LCS, I think I only had like 1 DC book, and the rest were all indies. I had what I like to call an Ash week, where it was all indies and like 1 DC.
You are learning.
No, I'm not learning. It was just slim pickings.
You're learning.
No, all 3 of these were great. Like I said, I think Big Game takes the gold. Firepower, I think, takes the silver, and then Void Rivals takes the bronze. But I mean, these are all fantastic books. Just bronze, in my opinion, is better than all the Marvel books that I passed up on the shelf. These are all great. 2 written by Kirkman, 1 by Miller. All the different artists were all great. These are all dynamite. You do yourself a favor and go get them. Go buy them all, so Mark Millar and Robert Kirkman know that they're selling well, and they keep on making new issues.
Thank you, Jimmy Walker.
What about you, Mr. RDV? What would you rate as gold, silver, and bronze of these 3 issues?
Well, sorry to say that Firepower would come in last, being the worst of these 3. Not because of the bad book; it's just because it felt like a filler. With a little bit of surprise. No.
Yeah, bronze medal's still a medal.
Yeah.
People are happy to get bronze in the Olympics, man.
Well, losers are happy to get bronze.
Well, losers are sad because they don't get bronze.
Void Rivals, I gotta say, man, that'd be silver. Of course, Big Game was first. Zach, if you tuned in, actually, Big Game was my number 1 book. Actually, no, was it? I think it No, I can't remember. It was between that and Batman Adventures.
Seriously,
Yeah.
Batman Adventures competed with this.
Because when you actually have good Batman, it's Conroy Batman kind of storytelling.
Batman Adventures is a good book. Well, at
Yeah.
least
Look, I'm
Okay.
sure it is. And look, I love Kevin Conroy Batman, but there's a whole different vibe between Kevin Conroy Batman and then what Big Game is.
Yeah,
I'm just
well,
trying to imagine
well,
comparing the two.
it's called you read different books. You like them for different reasons.
all right. We're talking about these 3
Yeah.
books. So
Yeah, I know. I know, and I said Big Game was number 1.
okay, so you got Big Game, Void Rivals, followed by Firepower, and my picks are going to mimic yours. I also pick that same order.
Yeah.
So, but they're all winners, as Zach said. I did not dislike any of them, but Big Game, it's just one of those. It's like even above the rest. It's one of those rare super gems that I hope can maintain that level. Firepower is very special because how many issues it's at. It's harder to tell an ongoing than it is a 5-issue miniseries. So bravo to Kirkman for being able to do that. And Void Rivals hopefully lasts just as long. Hopefully that's another ongoing. So
If you guys had 3 hours and 21 minutes and you're still here,
I didn't have that.
You guys devoted.
I was trying for 90
I
minutes.
didn't
That was
have
a mistake. We're
We
not going to
shouldn't
keep.
have opened up talking about politics.
Well, we stopped that right away. I was able to pull you.
Oh, did
Well,
we? Oh, okay. I don't remember.
I'm just upset
Okay.
that Marana has not said go at least once at all through this whole entire live stream.
I was just
All
saying,
right.
go. What are we selling?
Well, I'm gonna
No.
end this abruptly so Zach can get the
We're the-
sleep he needs so that he doesn't quit
Bless
on
you.
us.
Bless you.
We rely on him to be here
Yeah,
on
Zach-
Mondays.
Zach is so
Yes.
tired that he doesn't realize I was making an auction joke because we've been
Because-
almost 4 hours.
If I'm not here, who is RDV gonna give the KKK jokes to?
I don't know. Well,
Well, I mean, I really don't do those jokes when you're not around,
I watch the streams, Venkman.
Zach, you're just looking into things. You're seeing things that are not exactly there.
I'm with you. I'm with you, bro. I got your back.
Thank you. Thank you,
RDV is just, I don't know. He's a little grumpy tonight.
I'm Batman.
Because he's
He's
Batman.
Batman.
And because we're sad that 11 characters just got killed.
Yes.
Every time I
Well-
look down, I look at his icon. I keep thinking SpongeBob for a second when I glance at my eye.
I know, I need to get a different icon. I thought the same thing the other day. I was like, it kind of looks like SpongeBob. I don't want that.
I don't even know what that icon is.
This
It's
is one of
One
the One
Piece.
Piece characters.
yep.
This is his alter ego.
I don't even
Wow.
watch the show. I don't even watch the show, but I knew it was One Piece.
All right. Well, I got something to
Alrighty.
learn. So, guys, thank
There you
you
go.
very much, Zach, for being here, RDV for being my consistent, longtime co-host and always being understanding when things don't work out on my side. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate everyone that's been listening this far to the end. Thank you, people here at the end, Maranya, Tehillim. Thank you, and we'll be back next week, hopefully for a shorter show, and yeah.
Yeah, what do we have next week?
I was
I
gonna
don't
say,
know.
it'll
We'll
be real
discuss that off the
short.
scenes.
Going off of my pull list, it's gonna be real short.
We'll do that behind the scenes so Zach can get his beauty sleep.
He
I
needs a
need-
lot of it then.
I need to get some too.
True.
I gotta
Have you
be
seen
up.
my face?
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah, well, I'll see you tomorrow night. Actually, tonight.
Later tonight. In
All right.
18 hours.
Good night, kids.
Good night, chat. You're the real MVPs.